Chapter 25-24. That night, the two of them went to the top of the clouds and almost fainted. Their cultivation was also slowly advancing. During this time, Yi Qinghan and Little Fox immortal souls were fused. They carefully observed the difference between the Immortal Fox clan's bloodline and the Yen clan's bloodline. They discovered that the Yen clan's bloodline had a special substance that could be completely compatible with heaven and earth. However, Little Fox Immortal's bloodline didn't have this substance. It was likely that other clans didn't have this substance either. The next day, Yi Qinghan let go of Little Fox Immortal and secretly pondered, could it be that this substance is what makes the Yen clan's humans so special? Little Fox Immortal's face was flushed with success. This time, she had conquered Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan closed his eyes and secretly pondered on how to use this special substance in his bloodline. However, when he first discovered this difference, he couldn't be sure and didn't have any experience. He had failed several times when he tried to use this special substance. After a long time, Yi Qinghan seemed to have comprehended something. A divine light flashed and he opened his eyes. He couldn't help but smile when he saw that Little Fox Immortal was actually taking the initiative. Little Fox Immortal smiled shyly and then let go of Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan was just about to sit up when a few knocks came from outside the door. Knock, 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 the sound was very gentle, neither fast nor slow. It shouldn't be a servant or guard. Then, there was only one person. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan casually put Little Fox Immortal away. Before he could get up and put on his clothes, Xianyuan Qingyun actually pushed open the door and barged in. Yi Qinghan was lying on the bed magnanimously. The two of them stared at each other. Why did you barge in? You're still looking. Yi Qinghan pretended to roll up the blanket and cover himself before reprimanding Xianyuan Qingyun. Xianyuan Qingyun was stunned for a while. She opened her mouth several times to speak, but she didn't know how to respond to Yi Qinghan's reprimand. Are you really incurable? Xianyuan Qingyun angrily reprimanded. Yi Qinghan curled his lips and retorted, Don't tell me I ran into your room and saw your entire body. You can't be incurable, right? Bah! You shameless bastard, how can anyone be so magnanimous? How old are you? Don't you feel ashamed? Xianyuan Qingyun rebuked. Yi Qinghan lay down lazily and kicked his long legs. He said weakly, It's over. You've seen everything. Either you take responsibility or compensate me. What kind of compensation do you want? Xianyuan Qingyun pouted and retorted. Yi Qinghan immediately perked up and said seriously, Let me study your bloodline. Xianyuan Qingyun rolled her eyes and reprimanded, You idiot! What are you researching bloodlines for? Hurry up and get up. I'll introduce you to a good sister. After she finished speaking, Xianyuan Qingyun turned around and left the room, closing the door behind her. Introduce sisters? Yi Qinghan's eyes widened. He didn't expect that Xianyuan Qingyun actually had a close friend. Ka. Yi Qinghan shook his bones and changed his clothes. He didn't wear the shroud anymore and only suppressed the power of the Yen clan's bloodline to a static state. Other than a supreme immortal emperor, perhaps even a big shot wouldn't be able to discover his special bloodline. Outside the door, besides Xianyuan Qingyun, there was actually a petite young girl. She looked even younger than Xianyuan Qingyun, but her figure was even more voluptuous. She had a small cherry-like mouth, and her eyes were different from normal people. They were alternating between red and blue. Her facial features were exquisite like a fairy's, and her skin was a bit fiery red. Once one got close to her, one's bloodline would be involuntarily suppressed. Sister Tang, I didn't expect you to personally come this time. Could it be that you've fallen for the mundane world and want to come out to find a man? Xianyuan Qingyun hugged the girl and took a deep breath. She teased, Sister is still as fragrant as before. This body fragrance is prepared to follow you for a lifetime. You're asking for a beating. You're actually still so impudent. Be careful, or I'll beat your brother too. The girl surnamed Tang raised the corner of her mouth and said with dissatisfaction. Humph. Xianyuan Qingyun instantly said, hurry up and beat him up. He's really infuriated me these past few days. If I can defeat him, I'll definitely cripple him. The girl surnamed Tang was instantly speechless. There had to be an excuse to beat up a prince. There weren't many people who dared to beat up Xianyuan Zhitsong. At the very least, there were absolutely no more than 5 people in the entire heaven rankings. This girl actually looked down on him like this, yet Xianyuan Qingyun actually didn't refute her and instead felt that it was only right. The origins of this girl surnamed Tang weren't simple. Her bloodline was absolutely not inferior to Xianyuan Qingyun's ancient immortal bloodline. Her Tang clan was the only ancient god bloodline that had been passed down. Moreover, this girl surnamed Tang was the one with the densest ancient god bloodline in the Tang clan. Tang Jiao's cultivation had even attained the perfection stage of the mysterious immortal realm, and she was 2 stages higher than Yi Qinghan. So, her combat strength was definitely much more exaggerated than Yi Qinghan's. Right at this moment, Yi Qinghan pushed open the door and walked out. As soon as he approached Tang Jiao, not only was his Yen clan bloodline not restrained, it was instead stimulated. Whoosh! The Yen clan's vital energy and blood instantly boiled, and it terrified Yi Qinghan to the point that his expression changed abruptly. He immediately retreated back into the room and adjusted himself a few times in succession. In the end, he could only wear the shroud. That girl has the bloodline of a powerful primeval clan. Just now there was a change in my bloodline. Yi Qinghan's face was ghastly pale, and that was the vigilance that came from his bones. After that, he closed the door and hid back into the room. At this moment, Tang Jiao's expression changed as well. She stared at Yi Qinghan's door and asked in a low voice, "Who was that person who just came out?" He was actually able to awaken my bloodline and arouse vigilance and hostility. Xianyuan Qingyun never expected that their reactions would be so exaggerated upon meeting. He's Yi Qinghan, the one who participated in the live broadcast of the hunt a few days ago. Is it because the baleful aura on his body is too strong that it stimulated your bloodline? He's someone who entered the Crying Ghost Ridge and came out alive. He even has a shroud on him, so his corpse aura is very strong. Xianyuan Qingyun didn't think too much about it and immediately explained for Yi Qinghan. However, Tang Jiao didn't quite believe it. The bloodline of a primeval god was very special, and there weren't many people who could arouse her hostility. She was almost certain that Yi Qinghan definitely had the bloodline of a powerful primeval clan. Huff! Huff! Inside the room, Yi Qinghan exhaled a few turbid breaths and adjusted his state of mind. After calming down, he pushed open the door and walked out. He said with a smile, "I'm really sorry about just now. I lost my composure a little." Tang Jiao stared at Yi Qinghan, and Yi Qinghan also stared at her. Because of the suppression of the shroud, the conflict between their bloodlines had disappeared. Fortunately, there was the shroud. Otherwise, Xianyuan Zhitsong and the other big shots would have definitely discovered that there was a problem with Yi Qinghan's bloodline. They weren't like the supreme immortal emperors. They already looked down on the bloodline of the Yen clan. Immortal emperors didn't care about the hatred between the Yen clan and other clans, but people like Xianyuan Zhitsong cared. You have a special bloodline, the bloodline of a powerful primeval clan. Are you an ancient immortal clan, spirit clan, or true dragon bloodline? Tang Jiao stared at Yi Qinghan and asked doubtfully. Yi Qinghan shook his head and said, "This fairy is thinking too much. I don't have a special bloodline. Just now, the power of fairy's powerful bloodline aroused a sense of danger and caused me to feel a trace of hostility towards you. That's why it aroused the hostility of your bloodline." Yi Qinghan didn't dare to admit that he had the bloodline of the Yen clan. Otherwise, the princess estate would be razed to the ground today. Xianyuan Qingyun saw that something was wrong between the two, so she quickly stood in the middle and introduced, Big Sister Tang, this is Yi Qinghan, the main character of this time's Marquis Conferment, the heaven-suppressing Marquis. He was personally conferred this title by the immortal Emperor of my celestial empire. There's definitely no problem with his identity. Otherwise, the immortal Emperor would have definitely discovered it. Chapter 25-25. A gentleman is willing to die for his bosom friend. Today, it's still 5 chapters. If there's enough time, it'll be 6 chapters. I'm not asking for a reward. That thing is useless to me and would be a waste of everyone's money. You can subscribe to those who don't have a subscription. The monthly tickets and recommendation tickets are free. Give them to me as well. Tang Jiao slightly frowned after hearing Xianyuan Qingyun's explanation, but she still endured it. After all, he was the heaven-suppressing Marquis, a Marquis personally conferred by the immortal Emperor. There was definitely no problem with his identity. Perhaps I was thinking too much. Heaven-suppressing Marquis, please don't blame me. Although Tang Jiao was at the peak of the mystic immortal realm, she still had to give some face at this moment. Yi Qinghan naturally wouldn't hold on to his attitude and quickly replied, Fairy is too polite. I didn't control myself well just now and scared you. I hope you won't blame me. At this moment, Yi Qinghan already understood that those with ancient bloodlines could trigger the hatred between their bloodlines. This was an inheritance that came from the bones and could never be changed. He couldn't help but rejoice that Xianyuan Qingyun's bloodline wasn't high. Otherwise, her bloodline would have been exposed just now. Looks like I won't be able to throw away this shroud in the future. Yi Qinghan secretly pondered. Wearing this shroud had its pros and cons. After all, if he fought with force, this shroud would definitely be broken. At that time, his bloodline would naturally be exposed. It wasn't very safe. I wonder if Ouyang Guan can set up immortal runes on my body to allow me to deceive everyone. Yi Qinghan pondered for a moment. Then, he looked up at the 2 beautiful fairies and found that they were also staring at him. Yi Qinghan pretended to be calm and touched his face. He asked, What's wrong? Is my face very seductive? TSK. Xianyuan Qingyun sneered and said, My big sister Tang heard that someone was conferred a marquis, so she specially came from the Tang clan to take a look. She's one of us. Don't worry, she won't spread the news of you being conferred a marquis for the time being. Tang Jiao shrugged. She was a sentimental person. However, she and Yi Qinghan were destined to be enemies. Even if they weren't enemies, they couldn't become friends. Yi Qinghan was well aware of their relationship in the future, so he nodded indifferently as a greeting. Yi Zi, I'm the host, so I have to entertain Big Sister Tang this time. Let's go out and eat. I haven't taken you out for a walk since you came to the capital, Xianyuan Qingyun said excitedly. Yi Qinghan did not want to have too much to do with Tang Jiao. He shook his head and said, You can go out. I will cultivate at home for a few days. According to the days, the clothes from the Imperial Clothing Workshop will arrive soon. I will stay here and wish you 2 fairies a good time. Let's go, let's go. Other people don't even have the ability to accompany us 2 great beauties to go shopping, yet you've taken the initiative to refuse. Look at how spoiled you've become. Xianyuan Qingyun was like a spoiled little girl as she hugged Yi Qinghan's arm and was about to drag him out. Tang Jiao crossed her arms and looked at everything indifferently. She guessed that Xianyuan Qingyun was tempted, so she said, Lord Heaven-suppressing Marquis, are you looking down on me? Is it so hard to treat you to a meal? Yi Qinghan bitterly smiled, and could only nod in agreement. Tap tap tap. At this moment, the guard from before jogged all the way to the 3 of them and said respectfully, Your Highness, Sect Master Yi, 3 elders from the clothing workshop have come. They say they have something to discuss with you 2 sirs. Xianyuan Qingyun was immediately excited. These were clothes personally designed by the clothing workshop master. Whoosh! Xianyuan Qingyun directly left Yi Qinghan behind and madly ran out of the princess residence. The three elders were holding 3 brocade boxes of different sizes, which should contain 3 sets of clothes. Your Highness, the clothes are ready. Please accept them. The 3 elders bowed and handed over the brocade boxes. At this moment, Yi Qinghan and Tang Jiao walked over. They each took a brocade box and gave a lot of celestial coins as a reward before returning to the main hall. Tang Jiao looked at Xianyuan Qingyun enviously and revealed her pure nature. She rubbed her hands and said, "These are clothes personally designed by the clothing workshop master. I don't even know if I can wear them in this lifetime. Qingyun, try them on for me to see." Xianyuan Qingyun had long forgotten to bring Tang Jiao and Yi Qinghan out for a stroll. After finding her clothes, she directly rushed to the bedchamber of the side hall. Yi Qinghan silently sat to the side and tapped the table with his fingertip. He looked at the brocade box that belonged to him, but he didn't take it out to try it on. After all, he didn't know if he could wear a shroud under his clothes. After about half an hour, a scream came from the bedchamber of the side hall. "Ah!" Xianyuan Qingyun shouted excitedly as if she had gone crazy. "Humph!" Tang Jiao snorted proudly and was very envious and jealous. "Heaven-suppressing Marquis, who's the other one?" Tang Jiao looked at the slightly smaller brocade box and asked with shining eyes. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and summoned Supreme Sovereign Yi. He threw the smaller brocade box to him and said indifferently, "The clothes that the clothing workshop master gave you. Change into them and try them on." Tang Jiao was shocked. She didn't expect the clothing workshop master to personally design clothes for a little spiritual pet. Even princes didn't have this privilege. Supreme Sovereign Yi took the brocade box smugly and looked at Tang Jiao, who had the bloodline of the ancient gods. He teased recklessly, "Yo, boss, when did you get such a hot girl? When are you going to introduce one to me too?" Yi Qinghan was speechless and rebuked angrily, "What nonsense are you talking about? Hurry up and change into your clothes." Tang Jiao was considered polite at first, but her face turned even redder after hearing Supreme Sovereign Yi's words. Supreme Sovereign Yi looked at Tang Jiao recklessly and asked curiously, "Why are you so red? You're like a boiled crab. Is this a bloodline problem?" "What a coincidence, I also have the ancient bloodline. Let's talk more when we have time." Crack, crack, crack. Boom. Tang Jiao's temper wasn't very good. She was angered by Supreme Sovereign Yi's words. Her bloodline was awakened, and the aura of the ancient gods filled the princess residence. Xianyuan Qingyun didn't care about dressing up. She wore a phoenix coronet and a robe. There was no golden light, but she was even more charming. As soon as she appeared, she instantly crushed Tang Jiao. This set of phoenix coronet and robe dug out all her charm. The phoenix coronet and robe were different from other clothing styles. It was an ancient costume, but it was mixed with the current popular style. Whoever wore it would be the main character. Xianyuan Qingyun stunned Tang Jiao, causing her anger to dissipate instantly. At this moment, even Yi Qinghan was stunned. His eyes were wide open. He never thought that a piece of clothing could change a person's temperament. Clothes make the man. This saying is indeed true. "Princess, you can be called the #1 beauty in the world," Supreme Sovereign Yi said with a flattering smile. "I'll go try on my clothes. Maybe it can stimulate my potential as the #1 man in the world." Whoosh. After saying that, Supreme Sovereign Yi hugged his brocade box and fled, afraid that Tang Jiao would take revenge on him. Yi Qinghan also took his brocade box and retreated. In the room, Yi Qinghan opened the brocade box and looked at the heaven-suppressing marquee robe. Its domineering aura was monstrous. The corner of the battle robe was surrounded by 9 dragons, as if it was lifting the wearer. The stars on the long sleeves flickered like a galaxy in the universe, suppressing the heavens with a wave of his hand. The wide heaven-suppressing marquee robe was completely designed according to Yi Qinghan's figure. It was very strict, and there was no problem with wearing a shroud inside. It was gorgeous but not ostentatious. It vividly displayed Yi Qinghan's natural domineering aura and heaven-suppressing posture. Yi Qinghan took off his coat and put on the heaven-suppressing marquee robe. The golden jade belt wrapped around his waist, and it was neither too big nor too small. It fit him perfectly. With a slight move, the robe rolled up in the air, and the space-time laws fluctuated. Its defensive power was actually at the golden immortal level. Hiss! Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. He felt that the immortal spiritual energy of heaven and earth was gathering and rushing to his limbs and bones. This heaven-suppressing marquee robe was simply a gift from the heavens. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan stepped out of the room and came to the main hall of the princess residence. His heaven-suppressing posture made the hearts of the two peerless beauties stop. They stared at Yi Qinghan in unison without moving their eyes. Chapter 25-26. The blocked chapter, Can I Study Your Body?, has been posted in the book review section. It's free to read. In addition, if you can't read the previous chapter, Heaven-Suppressing Postures, you can delete it from your bookshelf and bookmark it again. If Xianyuan Qingyun was stunning, then Yi Qinghan's appearance made the two peerless beauties forget to breathe. They never thought that a man could be handsome enough to eat. Yi Qinghan's clothes and Xianyuan Qingyun's clothes were not a matching set, but when they stood together, they were flawless like a complete galaxy map. It was embroidered stitch by stitch, and the owner worked for a month to finish it. The materials were special and were specially made to make the marquee cloth. It had a built-in array that could defend against the powerful attacks of low-level golden immortals. However, it also depended on who was wearing it. If it was worn by a golden immortal, it would be slightly combined with the defense of the marquee clothes, and the big shots wouldn't be able to break through the defense. However, when worn by Yi Qinghan and Xianyuan Qingyun, the defense would be shattered after 3 to 5 moves. The dragon and phoenix were in harmony and the galaxy was flowing. These weren't clothes, but works of art. It was even called a divine item. One could even comprehend the great Tao from this galaxy map. Most importantly, when wearing this marquee clothes, one would get twice the result with half the effort in cultivation. Especially for someone like Yi Qinghan, who was a low-level Xian immortal, and whose soul was at the consummate Xian immortal realm, it was absolutely like adding wings to a tiger. The two's clothes hid a set of primordial techniques. Tang Jiayao had the bloodline of a primordial ancient god, and her bloodline was atavistic, so she knew a lot about the primordial era. She could tell at a glance that these two clothes were embroidered with the most powerful divine art of the primordial era. The inverse space galaxy map. Tang Jiayao was speechless. Yi Qinghan and Xianyuan Qingyun were stunned. They looked at the galaxy map on each other's body and realized that the galaxy was flowing, as if it was going to reverse time and travel back to the primordial era. The owner used the inverse space galaxy map to bind the two according to the immortal emperor's instructions. If Yi Qinghan wanted to cultivate the inverse space galaxy map, he had to choose to be with Xianyuan Qingyun. If they couldn't be together, the inverse space galaxy map would be incomplete, and he wouldn't be able to cultivate it. Is this a primordial grand divine technique? Yi Qinghan asked in astonishment. Tang Jiayao nodded and said seriously, Legend has it that when the inverse space galactic diagram is cultivated to the peak, one can have the ability of an immortal emperor and reverse time. Back in the primordial age, it definitely surpassed the ancient Tao sword arts and other super cultivation technique. The number 1 divine art below the immortal emperor realm? Xianyuan Qingyun's eyes widened. She seemed to know the origins of the inverse space galactic diagram as well. Ordinary people were unable to comprehend it, and only an extremely small number of favored princes could comprehend it. However, basically no one could comprehend the first 3 layers, and it was as if the last 6 layers did not exist. Afterwards, she asked in astonishment, why would the number 1 divine ability that is only passed to males and not females be embroidered on the clothes of a marquis? How does the owner know about the inverse space galaxy diagram? Tang Jiao smiled and said, silly sister, in fact, it's not that it's passed to males and not females. It's just that the first person to successfully cultivate this Star River inverse space chart was a woman, and it was your aunt, the owner. What? At this moment, even Yi Qinghan was shocked, let alone Xianyuan Qingyun. If the owner had successfully cultivated the number 1 divine art in the world, wouldn't her strength be second only to the 5 great immortal emperors? There are many strange people and strange things in the world. As far as I know, there are no less than 5 people who can kill Marquis Venerated Dragon. However, there is only one person who is truly the number 1 below the immortal emperor realm, and that is the ancient heavenly emperor. However, the owner's strength is something that she has never shown before. Previously, I wasn't even sure if she had truly cultivated the inverse space galaxy diagram. Now that I look at this robe, I'm almost certain that it's true. However, Tang Jiao said with certainty. Yi Qinghan was silent for a long time. According to him, if she had been hiding her strength and suddenly revealed it, the only purpose would be to intimidate people who were hostile. Who would dare to be hostile to the owner? An immortal emperor? Obviously, that was not very realistic. As long as immortal Emperor Qing Zun did not fall, no one would dare to be hostile to the owner, unless… Did immortal Emperor Qing Zun have a bad premonition? Yi Qinghan pondered and muttered to himself. Could it be that immortal Emperor Qing Zun sensed something? That's why he asked the owner to show his strength, right in front of the Marquis conferral banquet? No one could guess the immortal emperor's intentions. Yi Qinghan could only speculate according to his own thoughts, and then prepare a backup plan for himself. In the past, he didn't have any super techniques to use. Now, he had the human Tao, the 3,000 grand techniques, and the number 1 divine art in the world, the inverse space galaxy diagram. Yi Qinghan was ecstatic. If he could cultivate this diagram to grand completion, he wouldn't have to worry about his identity being exposed. At this moment, the world was shocked. The heroes were discussing who would be the next Marquis of the Qing Zun Immortal Kingdom. Heaven Suppression Marquis was a title conferred by the great immortal emperor himself. His status was definitely not low. No one guessed that it would be Yi Qinghan. More people thought that it would be a prince. The ones with the highest hopes were Xianyuan Zhutsang, the 3rd Prince Lin Hao, and the 2nd Prince. In the imperial capital, the guesses were mainly focused on the 3 princes and Yi Qinghan. However, there was a group of people who were certain that it would not be Yi Qinghan. This caused the 3 princes to have a misconception that the other party was a marquis. They were always scared out of their wit. Xianyuan Zhutsang requested to see Yi Qinghan several times to ask if he was a marquis or not. However, he was rejected every time and did not give a definite answer. Some people even wanted to ask the owner, but they were kicked out as soon as they entered the Elder Hall. The day of the Marquis was getting closer and closer. There were only 3 days left. The imperial family had already started to make preparations. Outside the imperial capital, Ling Yang was preparing to personally make a projection. All the big and small cities in the Qing Zun Immortal Kingdom had received the right to make a projection. At this moment, the Qing Zun Immortal Kingdom was not the only one paying attention to the Marquis. Even the other 4 great immortal kingdoms, Extreme Peak Mountain, Jingfan Mountain, the Eastern Royal Clan, and the Ancient Emperor Academy were paying attention. The martial record system even opened a bet and listed more than 10 people who were most likely to be marquis. It attracted countless people to bet, and the bets accumulated to more than 1 trillion. No one knew when Sovereign Yi sneaked out and bet all his 10 billion on Yi Qinghan. This caused Yi Qinghan's odds to instantly fall. The Marshall record system immediately reacted. The marquis is Yi Qinghan. Luo Wuhan was almost certain that he knew Sovereign Yi the best. He would definitely not lose out and would give 10 billion to the Marshall record system. On the other side, Luo Longyin was also quite shocked. He didn't expect that in just a few hundred years, Yi Qinghan would turn from an ant being hunted down to the heaven-suppressing marquis that everyone respected. I really don't know what kind of expressions the Eastern Royal Grand Exalt, Marquis Xuanlong, an extreme peak mountain master will have when they hear this news. Luo Longyin mocked. 3 days passed in a flash. The marquis ceremony and the projection had already begun. Outside the imperial capital, the 12 marquises of the Qing Zun Immortal Kingdom and 360 city lords were gathered. The princesses, princes, emperors, and uncles of the middle generation had all appeared. Only the main character and the immortal emperor had yet to appear. Countless people were waiting. Today, not only would they see the heaven-suppressing marquis, but they would also see the supreme immortal emperor. In the princess residence, Yi Qinghan and Xianyuan Qingyun were still dressing up. Today was the most important day. Everyone wanted to amaze the world, and Yi Qinghan purely wanted to take revenge on Marquis Xuanlong and the Grand Exalt. You guys are really blind. If I were an opportunist, the people I would choose to rely on wouldn't be you guys. Yi Qinghan clenched his iron fists and put on his marquis clothes. He had an imposing appearance and a domineering aura that soared into the sky. He slowly stepped out of the room. His aura was more than 100 times stronger than before. This was the true heaven-suppressing appearance. One eye looking down on the world and all living things. Chapter 25-27. It was raining just now, so I was harvesting wheat. Otherwise, I would have updated it a long time ago. Sorry for being late. His heaven-suppressing aura came from his bones. His aura was restrained, but it merged with the Tao of heaven and earth. It was as if he was the son of heaven. At this moment, Supremacy Yi also had a proud expression. He was wearing the clothes given by the owner of the district. He looked like a little prince that shone with golden light. Meanwhile, Xianyuan Qingyun and Tang Jiao stood side by side. The 4 of them had 3 super battlesuits, and one of them was a marquis suit. The 2 beauties looked at Yi Qinghan in a daze. They had never been so moved before. That aura was qualified to be conferred the title of marquis. Heaven-suppressing marquis. Asterisk cough cough asterisk Yi Qinghan coughed twice, and was no longer serious. He grinned and said, "Does this majesty have the aura of a marquis?" A funny remark instantly made his aura disappear. Damn! Can you not have 2 personalities? One moment you're funny, the next you're majestic. I'm not used to it. Xianyuan Qingyun said angrily. Tang Jiao curled her lips and didn't say anything. After all, she wasn't familiar with Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan shrugged and said, "How long until the conferment?" Xianyuan Qingyun looked at the time and said excitedly, "There's still an hour. Right now, everyone is probably gathered outside the imperial capital to watch the ceremony. Let's go." Yi Qinghan nodded and gestured with his hand. "2 peerless fairies, please go first." Tang Jiao snorted and took the lead to pull Xianyuan Qingyun out of the princess residence. At this moment there was no one on the main road, whether it was the inner city or the outer city. Everyone was waiting outside the city to greet the supreme immortal emperor and admire the heaven-suppressing marquis. They were even more excited than Yi Qinghan, the main character. The princes and princesses had special seat. At this moment, hundreds of people were discussing and guessing who would be conferred the title of marquis. Ling Yang was broadcasting live, while the other marquises were sitting on the two sides of the high platform. They were all very majestic. They were all 12 golden immortals. The rest were the royal family's uncles, the sons of the immortal emperor or Emperor Taihao. Xianyuan Zhezong's father was among them. Emperor Taihao was not the marquis, but he was of the highest seniority. Naturally, he was one of the best hosts. The person who will be conferred the title of marquis today is a young man. As for who it is, allow this old man to keep you guessing. The supreme immortal emperor will personally announce it. Emperor Taihao's face was full of smiles, and his voice was low and powerful. Boom, hum! The sound of an ancient bell reverberated through the mountains and rivers of time and space, coming from the endless barren land. A ray of light came from the inner palace. A majestic figure stood proudly in the sky. Although it was only 2 meters tall, it gave off the feeling of an indomitable spirit. The moment it appeared, the laws of the world played a heavenly melody. The sound of a rainbow spread across the mountains and rivers. When the immortal emperor appeared, all Daos would submit, and the heavens would come to congratulate him. It was unknown how many years it had been since the immortal emperor had appeared. Now that he had appeared again, all living beings knelt down. Even those who were watching the live broadcast directly knelt down. Greetings, Supreme Immortal Emperor. Whoosh! Master Ho got up, bowed respectfully, and knelt on one knee. Greetings, Emperor Qing. Even people of the royal uncle's generation only called him Emperor Qing, and not Father or Immortal Emperor. Immortal emperors had no seniority, only titles. The immortal emperor looked down with disdain. His eyes pierced through the void as if he could see the entire everlasting immortal empire. He saw the reverence and worship of all living beings. He couldn't help but nod. All living beings, rise. Whoosh! Immortal Emperor Qing Zun slowly waved his hand. The grand Tao of heaven and earth appeared with a coiling force. Time and space collapsed and spread in all directions. All living beings in the imperial capital were lifted up. The might of the Emperor Qing could be seen at a glance. Everyone's heartbeat sped up as they looked at the projection excitedly. For many people, this was the first time they saw the true face of the immortal emperor. They were even more excited than seeing their own father. This was faith, this was pursuit. Many major powers bought the projection rights from the Martial Record System. However, this time, the projection rights cost hundreds of millions of celestial coins because the Martial Record System had to share the celestial coins with the Qingzuan Immortal Empire. In the Zunlong Marquis residence, Marquis Zunlong looked at the projection silently. He spent hundreds of millions of celestial coins to buy the projection rights but didn't announce it to the public. Instead, he watched the projection alone. He only wanted to know who the new heaven-suppressing marquis was. The Eastern Emperor's lineage also bought the projection right. Jingfan Mountain, Extreme Peak Mountain, ancient clans, and secluded clans mostly bought the projection right. The heaven-suppressing marquis, who was personally conferred the title by the immortal emperor, was definitely not simple. No one wanted to not know who the heaven-suppressing marquis was. Immortal Emperor Qing Zun looked down at everyone. His face was extremely dignified and serious. His divine sense covered the entire imperial capital. When he saw Yi Qinghan, Xianyuan Qingyun, and the others stepping out of the city, he said in a low voice, "Heaven-suppressing marquis, please." Whoosh! Big Boss Ling Yang's projection law instantly covered the long official road inside the city gate. From near to far, 4 figures were extremely blurry. Everyone in the world held their breaths and stared at the projection screen. The projection became clearer and clearer. Xianyuan Qinyun was wearing a phoenix crown and a robe. The starry river flowed and gathered the power of mountains and rivers. The 9 dragons under Yi Qinghan's feet swam. Together with the starry river inverse space diagram, Yi Qinghan's aura rose to the top of the clouds. He was like the son of the heavens. The power of mountains and rivers formed the 8 trigrams, and the power of heaven and earth gathered between the two. Although Tang Jiao didn't have the immortal robe bestowed by the district master, she wasn't bad herself. She also had the bloodline of an ancient god, and had already undergone atavism. Her aura and aura didn't lose to Yi Qinghan. The two of them, one on the left and one on the right, added to Yi Qinghan's heaven-suppressing aura. Yi Qinghan's body radiated majesty and dignity. With a serious face, he stepped on the laws of mountains and rivers. The power of divine powers flowed through his limbs and bones. His entire body was golden and his face was red. His dignified face was firm and resolute. His handsome face made the princes of the heavens pale in comparison. Whoosh! The projection was extremely clear. The world was in an uproar. Boom! In the revered dragon mansion, there was a loud explosion. In the Eastern Emperor's lineage, the Eastern Emperor Grand Venerable's face turned purple and his body trembled. He became the heaven-suppressing Marquis? He's just an early-stage profound immortal ant. How can he become the heaven-suppressing Marquis? How can he make the Azure Emperor personally confer the title of Marquis? The Eastern Emperor Grand Venerable roared hysterically and unwillingly. The Eastern Emperor's bloodline was in an uproar. The Eastern Emperor Immortal lowered her head deeply. It's too late. I'm not worthy of you. The Eastern Emperor Immortal shed tears of despair and clenched her fists. From this moment on, she knew the outcome, so she gave up and could only pray silently. The ultimate peak mountain master, who was countless miles away, had an ugly expression. However, at this moment, he still had room for negotiation. After all, Yi Qinghan took the initiative to ask for peace, and he just didn't express his opinion. Some were happy and some were sad. In Jingfan Mountain, Zhang Fan smiled and clapped. I knew that my eyesight wouldn't be bad. I just didn't expect him to be conferred the title of Marquis before me. Heaven-suppressing Marquis, what an arrogant title, ha ha! Zhang Fan only felt gratified and happy. There was no envy or jealousy. Outside the imperial capital, Yi Qinghan was held by 2 peerless beauties on both sides of his battle robe as he stepped onto the high platform. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan's expression was calm, as if he didn't want to be conferred the title of Marquis. He just calmly kneeled on one knee and said respectfully, Heaven-suppressing Marquis Yi Qinghan greets Lord Azure Emperor. Boom! In an instant, the entire Qing Zun immortal country was in chaos. No one would have thought that the heaven-suppressing Marquis was the famous madman Yi Qinghan. However, no one doubted whether Yi Qinghan could be conferred the title of Marquis. After all, he was the #1 person in the world, the first person to pass the 88th stage and broadcast the hunting game. Xianyuan Zhetsong's fingertips were trembling as he looked at Xianyuan Tai with regret. However, there was nothing he could do now. Although Yi Qinghan promised to help, there was a limit to how much he could do. As for the group of people in the second prince's circle, their eyes were filled with shock and fear. It's him. It's the person Qingyun brought to the clothing workshop. He was actually conferred the title of Marquis. The first princess exclaimed. Chapter 25-28. At this moment, not only was the first princess shocked, even most of the marquises and princes were extremely shocked. A low-level profound immortal marquis was bestowed the title of heaven-suppressing marquis by the immortal emperor. What kind of glory was this? Slap. Am I still King dreaming? It's him? In the originally serious environment, after a sudden slap, a young man stood up in confusion. He looked around and said in confusion, Why does it hurt? Is it not a dream? Boom. In an instant, the stage was in chaos. Countless people roared with laughter. Even immortal Emperor Qing Zun looked at the chaos with a smile. If he didn't want to see the expressions of everyone in the world, he wouldn't have kept them in suspense. Yi Qinghan stood up and looked at the world. The law of projection enveloped immortal Emperor Qing Zun and Yi Qinghan. One was elegant like the sun of the heavens, while the other was like the heavens. The two stood proudly between heaven and earth with auras as strong as the heavens. At this moment there were two main characters in the world. One was the immortal emperor, and the other wasn't inferior to the immortal emperor at all. That was Yi Qinghan. Xianyuan Qingyun was wearing a phoenix coronet and a robe. She had an extraordinary temperament. At this moment, her phoenix eyes were wandering and her face was filled with excitement. She stood beside Yi Qinghan with a face full of happiness. She was like a little woman surrounded by happiness and had the world in her hand. The ancient god bloodline Tang Jiao stood at the edge of the stage. She wasn't the main character this time, so she didn't dare to take half a step forward. Women can also be bestowed the title of Marquis. If the immortal emperor doesn't do it, then I'll do it myself. Tang Jiao stood at the side and clenched her fist as she muttered to herself. At this moment, Xianyuan Zhetsong's heart was restless. He looked at Yi Qinghan and Xianyuan Qingyun with expectation. He secretly made up his mind to make Xianyuan Qingyun completely forgive him and help him confer the title of Crown Prince again. Now, no one was stupid. Since Yi Qinghan was valued by the immortal emperor, his attitude was very important. One sentence could even change the outcome. The third Prince Lin Hao hadn't interacted with Yi Qinghan yet. He looked at Yi Qinghan with a smile and took the initiative to stand up and say respectfully, "Heaven-suppressing Marquis. Heaven-suppressing Marquis." At this moment the people of the world finally reacted and shouted. Yi Qinghan slightly bowed and returned the greeting. He circulated his qi and loudly said, "Thank you, Third Prince. Thank you, fellow Taoists, for participating in the Marquis ceremony. I cannot thank you enough." At this time, Xianyuan Zhetsong immediately stood up and cupped his fists, saying, "The Supreme Immortal Emperor cherishes talents. Heaven-suppressing Marquis might not be the first in history, but he is truly the first. He flattened the 88 trials, hunted down some of the trials, and killed countless experts. He is the first person to ever step into the Crying Ghost Ridge and come out alive. He is also the only one to be bestowed the title of Heaven-suppressing Marquis. Our immortal emperor definitely has a good eye for talent, so it is only right for the world to come to congratulate him. Heaven-suppressing Marquis, please don't embarrass us." In just a few words, he flattered Yi Qinghan and the immortal emperor. Xianyuan Zhetsong was still a dragon among men. If he wasn't in a hurry and fell for Xianyuan Tai's trap, he wouldn't have offended Xianyuan Qingyun and Yi Qinghan. Whoosh! The 36 marquises all stood up and cupped their fists in congratulation. Marquis Heaven-suppressing Marquis is still young and can be considered as the #1 expert of the younger generation. Just as Zhetsong said, back then, you were rejected when you requested to meet with Marquis Venerated Dragon. Now, our celestial nation's Lord Azure Emperor has a discerning eye for talent and is able to recognize and use heroes. The fact that Lord Azure Emperor conferred the title of Marquis to announce to the world that as long as you are talented and capable, you will be placed in an important position. Our immortal emperor appreciates you, so don't be too modest. Xianyuan Zhetsong's father, Xianyuan God Xianyuan, stood up and praised. It seemed like he was praising Yi Qinghan, but in fact, he was flattering the immortal emperor's wisdom. However, he said it in such a secretive manner, and even raised the Azure Emperor's wisdom to the point that he could make an exception for all the talents in the world. Immortal Emperor Qing Zun couldn't help but nod. Xianyuan God Xuanyuan's words were very good, very accurate, and said what was in his heart. The immortal empire never lacked talents, but the immortal empire never complained about having too many talents. Yi Qinghan naturally knew that Xianyuan God Xianyuan was Qingyun's father, so he quickly said, "Greetings, Royal Uncle Xianyuan God." Xianyuan God Xianyuan smiled and nodded at Xianyuan Qingyun and Yi Qinghan, then sat back down. I am Zhenan Marquis, greetings, little friend heaven suppressing Marquis. I am Nantian Godly General, greetings, little friend heaven suppressing Marquis. The 12 golden immortals didn't care about their status, and they all stood up to formally greet Yi Qinghan. Following that, although the imperial uncles were not golden immortals, they were still imperial uncles. They all greeted Yi Qinghan as an elder and bowed. Yi Qinghan returned their greetings one by one, neither servile nor overbearing, and won over many royal uncles. However, all the golden immortals were still observing. After all, they were only there to watch during the hunting game, so who knew if he would hold a grudge? Xianyuan Tai put on a fake smile and said faintly, Little friend Yi, congratulations on becoming a marquis. You are the youngest and also the one with the lowest cultivation. You have to thank the Supreme Immortal Emperor for making an exception for you. Repay him well in the future. Yi Qinghan smiled faintly and said confidently, Of course, you don't have to worry about it, Marquis Tai. I came from a small plain and walked through a sea of fire and a mountain of blades, so I know the value of timely help. In order to survive, I fought against strong enemies and never compromised. A few years ago, I begged Tai Zun Marquis and Zun Long Marquis, but I was misunderstood as an opportunist and was rejected by the ancient Emperor Academy. After going through untold hardships, I passed through the 88 gates of death and was wounded by blades and swords. Along the way, I have repaid all the favors I have received with my life. His Excellency Immortal Emperor is not only my benefactor, but also my talent. If I betray His Excellency Immortal Emperor in the future, I will be struck by lightning. He declared in front of the world not only to return the favor, but also to let Immortal Emperor Qing Zun know that he was not an ungrateful person. He also wanted Tai Zun Marquis and Zun Long Marquis to see clearly that he was not an opportunist. Yi Qinghan's words were full of confidence, and he did not lie at all. He dared to guarantee that he would repay all the favors he received with his life. Immortal Emperor Qing Zun was very satisfied with Yi Qinghan's declaration. He already knew what Yi Qinghan was going to do, so he said, Today, I announce that the 30 million square kilometers of Qilin Forest and the northern Divine Island will be changed into the Heaven-Suppressing Palace. The Heaven-Suppressing Marquis will be given the title of Heaven-Suppressing Palace and 30 billion celestial coins. Hua! This conferment shocked the world, even the 12 golden immortals and the 24 imperial uncles of the royal bloodline. That place was a place that many people were fighting for, and they did not expect the immortal emperor to confer it to Yi Qinghan. A place with good feng shui. Who wouldn't want it? Immortal Emperor Qing Zun did not care about what others thought and continued, Today, I will also confer a new king, Yan'eo, the general of the Quang Mansion Army, the King of Yen. He will be in charge of the Quang Mansion Army and will also be in charge of the Heaven-Suppressing Army. There is no need to report to the Celestial Empire, and the Celestial Empire will provide you with equipment. The Heaven-Suppressing Army will be part of the Celestial Empire's army and will be under my direct command. Hiss hiss hiss. Emperor Tai Hao was also shocked because he was the one in charge of the military. This meant that the Heaven-Suppressing Army and the Quang Mansion Army were not under his control, but under the Immortal Emperor's direct command. The world was shocked. Yi Qinghan received too many benefits, more than many of the marquises. This was a special treatment. It was even better than his own son. Chapter 25-29. Those who want to subscribe but don't know how to do it, or readers, can add me on my private QQ, 167000461. Yan'eo was conferred a king, and he was now a prince. Yi Qinghan was conferred a king, and he was now a royal uncle. In just one day, immortal Emperor Qing Zun changed a lot of rules. Conferred land, king, marquis, celestial coins, the number 1 skill below the immortal emperor level, and all of these benefits were given to Yi Qinghan. He was even allowed to build a private army of 5 million, and he was even given proper equipment. None of the marquises received such treatment. Many people were confused, especially the marquises, royal uncles, and even Emperor Tai Hao. Yi Qinghan was overjoyed. With 5 million troops, Yan Ao could finally show off his strength. This meant that from today onwards, the insane sect would officially take root in the immortal world, with the heaven-suppressing prefecture as its base. They could do whatever they wanted, and no one could stop them. Thank you, Supreme Monarch Qing. Yi Qinghan kneeled on one knee and clasped his fists excitedly. Immortal Emperor Qing Zun waved his hand and helped Yi Qinghan up and said calmly, "You can use this chance to recruit soldiers from all over the world. I will leave now, this is your home ground." Hua! Immortal Emperor Qing Zun's figure disappeared without a trace. With the departure of the immortal emperor, this place became Yi Qinghan's world. He was now a marquis, resources would come rolling in, and golden immortals were within his reach. His aura was no longer something these marquises could suppress. At this moment, Xianyuan Tai's old face was scrunched up. As a golden immortal and a relative of the royal family, the benefits that Yi Qinghan received was 1 in 10,000. How could he not be jealous? Xianyuan Zhitsang was both excited and regretful, completely at a loss of what to do. As for the other marquises, their expressions were complicated. No one was happy for Yi Qinghan, but they were secretly thinking about how they should treat this special heaven-suppressing marquis. Only Xianyuan Xianxin, the royal uncle, was smiling like a father-in-law looking at his son-in-law. The more he looked at him, the more he liked him. He was not afraid that the good cabbage at home would be taken away by a pig. Yi Qinghan tapped the air with his finger, staring disdainfully at everyone. It was like he could see the entire azure venerate immortal empire through the projection of law. "Thank you, Lord Immortal Monarch, for granting me the right to recruit soldiers. The 3 armies of the insane sect, the ancient massacre god, the insane sect's inner sect, and the outer sect have always been treated equally as brothers. Everyone has witnessed their strength and unity during the battle in the northern divine region's cave of Sealing Demon. Today, I promise before the world that those who join the heaven-suppressing prefecture's private army will receive the best treatment. They will be rewarded according to their contributions, and the door will be opened to the world's elites." Yi Qinghan's voice was as loud as a bell, like a mighty river. Ling Yang had spread his words to every corner of the continent. After joining the heaven-suppressing prefecture, I can't guarantee that everyone will be conferred the title of marquis. But as long as you have the confidence, conferring the title of king is not impossible. Hua! Yi Qinghan stood with his legs together and thumped his chest with his right hand. This was a standard ancient killing god salute, which was exactly the same as the salute he had used when he left Jingfan City. The ancient killing god had also demonstrated the charm and boldness of this salute. Those who are afraid of death, those who do not want to be conferred the title of marquis or king, and those who are not loyal, do not come. The heaven-suppressing prefecture's private army does not need such people. Be it the insane sect's inner sect, outer sect, or even the ancient massacre god, they all have the same goal, and that is to protect my people, even if it means dying on the battlefield. Yi Qinghan glanced at the world and said proudly. The world was dead silent. His words attracted the attention of the true kings, those who were not afraid of death, and those who were not valued by the powerful sections. Many of them were tempted and were ready to head to the heaven-suppressing prefecture. When I was very young, my people in the small realms were struggling at death's door. They were tortured and humiliated. My people could be destroyed at any time. I have witnessed countless martyrs sacrificing themselves to save others. One of the martyrs I respected the most told me, "Without the mountains and rivers, what's the use of my body? An inch of mountains and rivers, an inch of blood, 1,000,000 people and 1,000,000 soldiers." From that day onwards I told myself, my life is not important. The people I protect, the mountains and rivers, are the most important. Those who join the heaven-suppressing prefecture, we will protect each other. As long as the insane sect remains, the heaven-suppressing prefecture will not be invaded. As long as the private army is not destroyed, we will not give up an inch of land. I, heaven-suppressing Marquis Yi Qinghan, swear that those who invest in the heaven-suppressing prefecture and those who move to the heaven-suppressing prefecture will be protected by the heaven-suppressing prefecture. Heroes of the world are welcome to move to the heaven-suppressing prefecture. Yi Qinghan's voice was filled with excitement and his eyes were filled with vigor. His aura and grandeur, as well as his simple words, had affected the feelings of all the heroes in the world who had failed to achieve their ambitions. An inch of mountains and rivers, an inch of blood, 1,000,000 people and 1,000,000 soldiers. Men were all hot-blooded. Who didn't want to be crowned as a king? Who didn't want to fight a great battle? Sitting below the stage, Xianyuan Zhitsong and the other princes suddenly felt how childish they were when facing Yi Qinghan. They had no doubt that if the immortal emperor gave them a chance, they would never be able to attract the world's support like Yi Qinghan. Born with the aura of an emperor, Yi Qinghan had the charisma to attract the heroes of the world. Outside the imperial capital, it was dead silent. No one said a word. The first princess and her group of people revealed embarrassed and regretful expressions. The lowly person that they called lowly was actually so heroic and could conquer all the heroes in the world. With a cultivation at the initial stage of the Xian immortal realm, he was actually so calm and composed in front of a group of marquises and imperial uncles, and didn't reveal the slightest bit of fear. Perhaps even the most favored second prince, third prince, and Prince Zhitsong couldn't do it. The most excited one was Xianyuan Qingyun. Xianyuan Qingyun slowly stepped forward and stood beside Yi Qinghan. She said firmly, "I, Xianyuan Qingyun, announce that I will be the first to move the princess residence into the heaven-suppressing prefecture. I will contribute to the development of the heaven-suppressing prefecture." Oh my God! What is this? The princess is giving up on the princess residence and moving into the heaven-suppressing prefecture? The world was shocked. Even the smiling Xianyuan god and Xianyuan Zhitsong stopped smiling and looked at Xianyuan Qingyun blankly. No one knew what she was thinking. Yi Qinghan looked at Xianyuan Qingyun, and when he looked at the inverse space galaxy diagram, he didn't reject it. He had no reason to reject such a good thing. At the same time, the world was restless. Many people were preparing to move. From today onwards, the Quang Manor's army will begin moving. Those who wish to join the heaven-suppressing prefecture can find the Quang Manor's army along the way. They will escort you into the heaven-suppressing prefecture. Yi Qinghan looked at the sky and said solemnly. In the Quang Manor's land, Yan Ao and the other seniors were looking at their boss. The army was organized and they were all excited. The boss was conferred the title of Marquis and the commander was conferred the title of King. There was nothing better than this news. What? Yan Ao turned around and looked at the army with a smile. The war flag in his hand swayed in the wind. From today onwards, the army will move to the heaven-suppressing prefecture. We will build an otherworldly sacred ground. From the day we arrive, we will have a home. Roar! The army swung their spears and roared in the sky. Clouds rolled and rolled. The army moved. Even the spirits in the Quang Manor's land were prepared. They couldn't bear to leave the Quang Manor and were willing to follow them to death. Chapter 25-30. Quang Manor's army marched out, along with the hundreds of millions of civilians. Most of them were from Yi Qinghan's world, Only a few of them were natives. With the migration of hundreds of millions of civilians, the army opened a path for them. The cities did not dare to stop them and even provided them with war horses. Countless wealthy families showed up and gave them large amounts of money to express their goodwill to the newly risen heaven-suppressing Marquis. The army raised their heads and their morale was high. They were proud because they were the Quang Manor's army. There were no rules in the army, but they were more disciplined than any regular army. They never bullied the weak, and even helped the old and the sick. This was a true army. The ancient massacre god, inner sect, and outer sect armies were at the front, the middle, and the back respectively. They guarded the hundreds of millions of civilians and did not give up on anyone. Quang Manor's civilians were moved beyond words, and even the passers-by were touched. Who wouldn't want to be protected by such an army? Who wouldn't want to be protected by such an army? Who wouldn't want to die for such an army? Without a doubt, these people would protect anyone who dared to attack this army. Love was always mutual. No one could have the right to be loved forever. If one wanted to be loved forever, he or she must learn to love others. Quang Manor's policy was to love first, then enjoy being loved and protected. The army did not move quickly, and there were always people trying to follow the army. Most of them were the elderly and orphans, lonely and helpless. Some were even young kings who were old and powerless, no longer respected by others. Yen Ao did not reject them. He waved the flag and ordered the army to open up a path for the elderly and orphans to follow the migration. The elderly and orphans were in tears. They never thought that Quang Manor's army would allow them to follow the migration and even help them. They had already recognized Quang Manor's army and their steps were firm. After being recognized by the people, Quang Manor's army's morale grew even stronger. The rhythm of heaven and earth rumbled. Emperor Yi stroked the ancient melody, brushing away the exhaustion of countless people. Every 30,000 li they would take a break, taking care of the elderly and the young. It was unintentional, but it was intentional. The martial arts recording system actually started a live broadcast to the immortal world. It was all free. Countless people watched as the Quang Manor's army migrated. The strong ones didn't care, but the weak ones were touched. Looking at the army moving miles away, their hearts were filled with yearning as they dreamed of flying to the heaven-suppressing prefecture. All the major cities began to suppress live broadcasts because the Quang Manor was too attractive. Many big shots were worried that they would lose their citizens. The martial arts recording system had no choice but to give up on the live broadcast. However, countless people were talking about how outstanding the Insane Mansion army was. Outside the imperial capital, a crowd of heroes had gathered. All the marquises were quietly watching Yi Qinghan's performance. Yi Qinghan, on the other hand, was doing his best to recruit more talents for the heaven-suppressing palace. Countless talents in the imperial capital wanted to join Quang Zong's army as the army might be the best way to develop themselves. Thus, many of them expressed their willingness to join Quang Zong's army. Yi Qinghan was all smiles as he replied in unison, "Welcome." After Yi Qinghan finished his speech, Taihao Royal Lord stood up and took out a golden immortal ring. He said with a warm smile, "Congratulations, Heaven Suppression Marquis. This is my gift, please accept it." Yi Qinghan knew that the emperor held a high position and was not someone to be offended. He immediately bowed and said, "Many thanks, Emperor. This little one doesn't deserve it." "Ha ha! Serving the empire is what you deserve. As for what brother immortal emperor has bestowed upon you, I will complete it for you as soon as possible," Emperor Taihao said with a smile. Yi Qinghan respectfully kept the congratulatory gift. Although he did not know what it was, a golden immortal grade immortal ring was priceless. Whoosh! Xianyuan got up and also handed over a perfect Xian immortal ring. He said with a smile, "Heaven-suppressing Marquis, this is my gift. 3 billion immortal coins, 30 golden immortal fruits, 20 immortal pills, and a perfect Xian immortal immemorial technique. Yi Qinghan quickly bowed and accepted it. The insane sect needed resources, and this was a congratulatory gift. It would be a waste if he did not accept it. Many thanks, Emperor Uncle, Yi Qinghan said respectfully. Xianyuan God smiled and said, "No need to be so courteous with Emperor Uncle. Please take care of my Qingyun in the future. This girl's cultivation talent is not good, but she is smart. Maybe she can help you take care of some trivial matters in the heaven-suppressing prefecture. Also, after the banquet is over, you must go with Qingyun to Emperor Uncle's mansion to officially meet her mother." Yi Qinghan immediately bowed and said, Of course. Whoosh. All of a sudden, the other marquises got up and presented their gifts. Most of the gifts given by the Golden Immortals were primordial immortal techniques, while most of the marquises given by the Imperial Uncles were celestial coins and cultivation resources. After all, their cultivation levels were different, so the gifts were different. Only Xianyuan Tai did not say anything. He knew that he had offended Yi Qinghan. A few hours ago, in the ultimate peak mountain, the Mountain Lord had a serious expression. This was the best time to choose whether to continue being enemies with Yi Qinghan or to make peace with him. Offending Yi Qinghan was nothing, but offending a heaven-suppressing marquis was a big deal. Especially a heaven-suppressing marquis who had a 5 million private army. He thought for a long time before communicating with Yang Zhaoxian, who was hiding outside the imperial capital through the projection law. Zhaoxian, send gifts in the name of the ultimate peak mountain and choose to make peace. But do not embarrass the ultimate peak mountain. The Mountain Lord transmitted his voice. The communication between Golden Immortal Realm marquises transcended time and space. Yang Zhaoxian had been here for a long time. He came to send gifts, but he did not expect the heaven-suppressing marquis to be Yi Qinghan. So, he did not move and waited for the Mountain Lord's gift. Hua, Yang Zhaoxian's figure flashed and appeared on the stage. He bowed and said, The ultimate peak mountain's Yang Zhaoxian is here under the Mountain Lord's order to congratulate Sect Master Yi for becoming a marquis. We specially send gifts of 30 billion immortal coins, 1 immemorial golden immortal realm secret art, 1 golden immortal realm immortal fruit, and 1 5-elemental lightning beast cub. We hope to resolve the grudge between the ultimate peak mountain and the heaven-suppressing marquis. Yi Qinghan did not expect the ultimate peak mountain to give in. In fact, the grudge between them was all his fault. So, as long as the ultimate peak mountain was willing to give in, he would accept it. I thank the Mountain Lord for the gift. The grudge between me and the ultimate peak mountain is purely a misunderstanding. It is also my fault for being reckless and offending Senior Zhaoxian and Mountain Lord. I will accept the gift today. After I settle the matters in the heaven-suppressing palace, I will personally go to the ultimate peak mountain to apologize. I hope Mountain Lord and Senior Zhaoxian will forgive me for what I did when I was young. Yi Qinghan gave enough face and accepted the Golden Immortal Realm immortal ring, bowing and saying. Yang Zhaoxian did not expect Yi Qinghan to be so shameless. He chose to apologize in front of everyone and even wanted to go to the ultimate peak mountain personally. Yang Zhaoxian's face was full of smiles. Even the ultimate peak mountain's Mountain Lord was stunned for a moment before he smiled and said, This brat really knows when to yield and when to stand tall. I actually think highly of you. As long as you dare to come to the ultimate peak mountain, I will not make things difficult for you in the future. Outside the imperial capital, a figure flashed. It was Jingfan Mountain's Zhang Fan. He used a great skill to break through the void and rushed over. Chapter 25-31. Looking for recommendation tickets and monthly tickets, subscription. There are still more than 4 chapters today. When Zhang Fan knew that the heaven-suppressing marquis was Yi Qinghan, He immediately rushed to the Qing Zun Immortal Kingdom to represent the Jingfan Mountain and prepared a big gift. Whoosh! Zhang Fan unleashed a great divine ability, shattering the void and appearing outside the imperial capital in a flash. Whoosh! All the marquises looked up at the sky and saw golden immortal level laws covering the sky. Ha 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 Yi, I didn't think that you would be conferred a marquis before me. This old man is gratified. Whoosh! Zhang Fan landed on the high platform and looked at Yi Qinghan with a gratified expression. Yi Qinghan didn't think that Zhang Fan would actually come. With a grateful expression, he knelt on one knee in front of Zhang Fan and said respectfully, Yi Qinghan represents himself to thank Senior for saving my life. I will definitely repay this kindness in the future. This kneel didn't represent the heaven-suppressing marquis, it only represented the weak Yi Qinghan. Emperor Tai Hao was very satisfied. Otherwise, it would be a disgrace to the Qing Zun Immortal Kingdom. For Yi Qinghan to kneel in front of someone who saved his life after being conferred a marquis meant that he was someone who valued relationships and was not an ungrateful person. Haha Zhang Fan was truly satisfied to be able to get the heaven-suppressing marquis to kneel in gratitude. He helped Yi Qinghan up and said with a smile, You are now a marquis and are of the same generation as me. There's no need to call me senior anymore. Your kneel has multiplied this old man's glory. I'm very satisfied and consider it as repaying your kindness. This time, I represent the Jingfan Mountain to send you a big gift, please don't refuse. Then, Zhang Fan took out a golden immortal level immortal ring. In just one day, Yi Qinghan received 13 golden immortal level rings. It was enough for the older generation of the Kuang sect. Yi Qinghan was very grateful. He received the immortal ring with both hands and bowed, Senior, please don't leave today. This junior will host a banquet to welcome you. There's no need to go through so much trouble. I still have other things to do. You go ahead and do what you need to do. We'll meet again in the future. You can treat me next time. Zhang Fan patted Yi Qinghan's shoulder and transmitted his voice to him. I'll send the prisoners in Jingfan Mansion's prison to the heaven-suppressing prefecture. You don't have to go there personally. Also, don't go to the North Divine region so that you won't be targeted by Marquis Zun Long. Yi Qinghan nodded. Zhang Fan's figure flashed and retreated. He did not even greet the other golden immortal marquises. Seeing Zhang Fan leave, Yi Qinghan's heart was filled with complicated emotions. The two celestial empires were enemies. What would he do if he bumped into Zhang Fan on the battlefield in the future? Yi Qinghan sighed softly. Although this matter was still far away, it was inevitable. Just as the ceremony was about to end, the Eastern Emperor's bloodline actually appeared. It was an old man who was actually at the golden immortal level, even stronger than the Eastern Emperor Grand Venerable. The previous family head of the Eastern Emperor's bloodline, Dong Huang-ing, the third-generation inheritor of the Eastern Emperor clan. His arrival caused the Golden Immortals and Imperial uncles to all stand up to welcome him. Even Emperor Taihao stood up to welcome him with a smile. Brother Dong Huang, I didn't expect you to come. Please forgive me for not coming out to welcome you. Emperor Taihao bowed. Dong Huang-ing was actually of the same generation as Xianyuan Taihao. He was one generation older than the other Golden Immortals. He should be at the same level as the ancient Heavenly Emperor and Marquis Zun Long. Dong Huang-ing had white hair and a youthful face. His gaze was warm and gentle. Ever since he appeared, he had been looking at Yi Qinghan with complicated emotions in his eyes. This old man has seen countless people. Heaven-suppressing Marquis has the disposition to suppress the heavens. He looks down on all living beings and his eyes contain the universe. Unfortunately, that unfilial son of his offended heaven-suppressing Marquis. This old man came personally to apologize on behalf of my son. Dong Huang-ing waved his hand and took out a golden immortal level immortal ring. He said solemnly, This old man congratulates heaven-suppressing Marquis. If it were anyone else, they would have pushed the Eastern sovereign away and taken the opportunity to get out of this embarrassing situation. Unfortunately, Yi Qinghan had no choice but to argue with the Eastern sovereign. Otherwise, wouldn't the 38,000 ancient massacre gods and disciples of the crazy sect who had sacrificed themselves in the demon sealing lair have died in vain? The Eastern Emperor Grand Venerable is dead for sure. Forgive me for not being able to accept this immortal ring. I want to take his head to pay tribute to the 38,000 brothers who died in battle. No one can stop me. Yi Qinghan's aura burst forth as a terrifying aura spread out in all directions. His eyes shone with a golden light as his blade energy swept across the entire area. If the Eastern Emperor Grand Venerable was here, he would definitely make a move. Hiss. Everyone in the world gasped. This was a public declaration of war. Emperor Taihao and the other marquises were also shocked. They didn't expect Yi Qinghan to not give them any face at all. He wanted to kill the current patriarch of the Eastern Emperor's bloodline in front of Dong Huangying. Dong Huangying frowned and asked in a deep voice, "Is there no hope of reconciliation?" After all, the 38,000 ancient massacre gods and insane sect disciples who died in battle were not killed by the Eastern Emperor Grand Venerable. Yi Qinghan raised the corner of his mouth and said coldly, "You should be glad that the Eastern Emperor Grand Venerable didn't kill the 38,000 ancient massacre gods and insane sect disciples. Otherwise, the Eastern Emperor Grand Venerable's life wouldn't be enough. You don't have to say any more. He deserved to die. I saved his daughter and saved your clan's ancestral artifact, but he repaid my kindness with enmity and blocked my path time and time again. He even made the 9 Kills Gate attack me several times and participated in the live broadcast of the 88th stage. He wanted to kill me." Dong Huangying's fingers trembled. If he wanted to kill Yi Qinghan now, even Emperor Taihao wouldn't be able to stop him. However, if he killed Yi Qinghan, he wouldn't be able to leave either. After all, this was the imperial capital. The Eastern Emperor Grand Venerable will wait for your revenge. Dong Huangying murmured before he turned around and left. In the Eastern Emperor's bloodline, the Eastern Emperor Grand Venerable stabbed his fingers into the table and looked at Yi Qinghan on the screen. He said coldly, "A mere mystic immortal, do you think you can be so arrogant just because you are the heaven-suppressing Marquis? Be careful. You will be beheaded the moment you enter the heaven-suppressing prefecture." At the same time, in the revered dragon manner, Marquis Zun Long narrowed his eyes at Yi Qinghan. Seeing that even Dong Huangying was refused entry, Marquis Zun Long guessed that he wouldn't be able to gain any face if he went there. He even got the answer from Yi Qinghan's words. Since the Eastern Emperor Grand Venerable was someone he must kill, Marquis Zun Long must die as well. Even the revered dragon army, blood dragon guards, azure dragon guards, and anyone who interfered in killing the Kuang Manor's army must die. I will not let you enter the golden immortal level alive. Do you think I can't do anything to you just because you are a marquis now? There are many ways to kill you." Marquis Zun Long took a deep breath and said seriously. No one thought that the endless peak mountain that chased after Yi Qinghan in the beginning would compromise and reconcile with Marquis Zun Long and Eastern Emperor Grand Venerable. Outside the imperial capital, the Marquis conferring ceremony ended and the Marquis conferring ceremony began. It was just a simple feast, but it was a feast of honor. Those who could attend the Marquis conferring ceremony were all people of high status and authority. When Yi Qinghan became a big shot, they would have a reason to visit the heaven-suppressing prefecture in the future. Yi Qinghan had already paid his respects to everyone except for Xian Yuan Tai. Both sides were at loggerheads and didn't give him any face at all. Everyone knew that Sikong Tanlang was Xian Yuan Tai's man, and it was certain that the two didn't get along well. However, since they belonged to the same faction, Immortal Emperor Qing Zun wouldn't allow the two marquises to fight each other. Thus, a real battle wouldn't happen, but it was impossible for the two to face each other with a smile. Chapter 25-32. One more chapter, updated around 7 p.m. The Marquis banquet ended after a day. All the marquises and imperial uncles stood up to bid farewell to Yi Qinghan. Only Xianyuan Tai left without even saying goodbye. Xianyuan Zhetsong had a regretful expression and didn't want to leave for a long time. He waited for Yi Qinghan to finish his business so that he could apologize again and redeem their relationship. There were so many people in the second prince's circle, but no one dared to leave, especially the first princess. She had offended the youngest heaven-suppressing marquis. Even though she was a princess, she probably wouldn't be able to sleep well in the future. When the second prince found out that his circle had offended Yi Qinghan, his face turned green and his body trembled with anger. A powerful heaven-suppressing marquis could influence the thoughts of many big shot. He probably didn't even need to think about the position of crown prince anymore. You guys, in the future. The second prince pointed at the first princess and the others. He wanted to cut ties with them several times, but he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to redeem Yi Qinghan after cutting ties. That would be a great loss. In the end, he had no choice but to leave. Many people had left. Xianyuan Zhetsong was about to apologize, but the first princess and the others directly rushed over and cried, "Marquis, we were blind and ignorant. Please don't bicker with us," the first princess said with a pitiful expression. Plop! The sons of the nobles were quite shameless. They directly kneeled in front of Yi Qinghan and hugged Yi Qinghan's thighs while crying as if they had suffered a great injustice. Yi Qinghan was shocked and wanted to say something, but these people didn't give him a chance and only cried and apologized. Xianyuan Qingyun looked at them with disdain and kept on kicking the people hugging Yi Qinghan's leg. "Go away. What are you doing? You have dirted the marquis's clothes. Can you afford to pay for it?" Xianyuan Qingyun clearly didn't care about the clothes. Instead, it was because there were a few girls entangling Yi Qinghan. If it weren't for the fact that they were in public, she wouldn't have just kicked them. She might have even taken out her blade. Cough cough, Yi Qinghan also admired this group of rich and powerful people. They were probably the only ones who could be so shameless. He could only help them up and maintain a certain distance. Then, he said indifferently, "Forget it. This marquis will not bicker with you. Disperse." After he finished speaking, Yi Qinghan pulled Sovereign Yi and Xianyuan Qingyun away, not giving Xianyuan Zhetsong a chance to speak. When Xianyuan Zhetsong saw Yi Qinghan leave, he knew that he had no chance. He could only leave angrily. In the princess's estate, Xianyuan Qingyun hurriedly took off her clothes and changed into an ordinary princess attire for fear of dirtying this marquis attire. Yi Qinghan didn't take off his marquis attire. The main reason was that the marquis attire's defense was very good. His cultivation was relatively low, so he naturally needed a safer defensive immortal attire. When Tang Jiao looked at Yi Qinghan again, she no longer felt like she was looking down on him. Yi Qinghan had already gotten used to his status as a marquis. His aura seemed to be innate, suppressing her to the point that she couldn't breathe. This feeling was like a little girl seeing an emperor. She didn't dare to blaspheme him in the slightest. Yi Qinghan remained silent as he waited for Xianyuan Qingyun. At this moment, he didn't want to be too close to Tang Jiao at all. The 10 great archaic bloodlines didn't interact with each other if possible, especially with Tang Jiao, who had an atavistic bloodline. It wasn't long before Xianyuan Qingyun skipped into the hall and said with anticipation, "Yi Zi, let's go pay a visit to father and mother. Father invited you earlier, so you have to give him face." Yi Qinghan thought for a moment. He didn't want to visit anyone right now. He just wanted to catch up with the Quang Mansion's army as soon as possible. However, Xianyuan God had already invited him. If he didn't visit, it would be inappropriate. What if your father wants me to help your elder brother? I don't want to get involved in this unless the immortal emperor asks me. I will put in a few good words for him. As for other things, I don't want to ask. Yi Qinghan said honestly. Xianyuan Qingyun was immediately put in a difficult position. Yi Qinghan had just been made a marquis, and she was already interfering with the crown prince's position. For Yi Qinghan, Xianyuan Qingyun compromised and said helplessly, "Then I'll go back and tell father myself. Wait for me. I'll go with you to the heaven-suppressing prefecture." Yi Qinghan nodded. After all, 1/3 of the inverse space galaxy diagram was on Xianyuan Qingyun's clothes. He must learn the inverse space galaxy diagram, the number one great skill below the immortal emperor. "I'll go with you." Tang Jiayao immediately stood up. She really didn't want to stay with Yi Qinghan. The pressure was just too strong. After the two beauties left, Yi Qinghan immediately returned to his room. He took off his clothes and started to study the inverse space galaxy diagram. The beginning of this great skill was on his body. His clothes looked like half of the universe. The galaxy was vast and constantly flowing. It contained a terrifying Tao technique. It seemed that after successfully comprehending it, he would be able to control the entire galaxy's power. The power of mountains and rivers was already terrifying enough. If he could use the universe's power, breaking through the imperishable immortal world would no longer be a dream. During the primordial war, the ancient immortal world was torn apart. If he had the power of the primordial era experts, tearing the imperishable immortal world apart would be a piece of cake. Yi Qinghan's eyes turned. He imagined himself going deep into the galaxy, flowing with the stars and feeling the vast power of the stars and universe. The power of the universe would always be the strongest. No one, be it the ancient immortals or ancient gods, could completely conquer this high-level universe. The golden immortals were strong enough, but many of them were killed during the golden immortal tribulation. Otherwise, there would be countless of them. Immortal emperors were existences that touched the high-level universe's heavenly Tao. However, they couldn't completely control the entire universe. The possibility of them being killed was very high. Just like during the primordial war, Yi Qinghan's consciousness still had the memories of the Flame Emperor. The immortal emperor was pierced through by the extreme light of Tao. His body was pierced and his life force was destroyed. Most of the power came from the Flame Ancestor. Yi Qinghan's soul had already reached the great circle of the mystic immortal realm. His divine sense covered his entire clothes. It was as though he had entered the vast universe. He could feel the movement and evolution of each star's power. Hua! The power in Yi Qinghan's body flowed rapidly. It was impossible for him to control the power of the universe with his current strength. 4 tails of force was the prerequisite. Boom, boom, boom. Yi Qinghan's blood boiled. His immortal spiritual force was depleted in the blink of an eye. Phew! Yi Qinghan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. He inhaled and exhaled the immortal spiritual force between heaven and earth again. His entire body emitted immortal light. His strength recovered rapidly. He began to slowly control the power of a star. The star region's clouds flowed like a huge ocean, forming a majestic whirlpool. Boom, boom, boom. This time, Yi Qinghan didn't exhaust his strength. Instead, endless star power rushed into his body. It almost destroyed his body. Fortunately, the holy golden body was strong. Hua! Yi Qinghan instantly stood up. He danced with the long river. The clouds in the sky gathered. The elementary mysteries of the great divine ability began to form. However, it didn't have the ability to attack. Just its power was already very frightening. Supreme Yi was attracted over. He drooled and hurriedly woke up the purple glass phoenix. He said to her, "Come, come, come. Help me comprehend this great divine ability. When I become the number one of all time, I'll definitely get you countless golden immortal level immortal fruits to help you recover your strength." The purple glass phoenix had already woken up. She wasn't woken up by Yi Qinghan's aura. Chapter 25-33. Chapter 5. Begging for monthly votes and recommendation votes. Star River Reversal. The ultimate divine ability of Xingchen was to use the power of the universe to change time and space. It could kill people without them noticing. It could destroy the void in the blink of an eye. At least in some areas, it could stand shoulder to shoulder with the supreme immortal emperor. Although it couldn't defeat an immortal emperor, it was impossible for an immortal emperor to kill a peak immortal emperor. Yi Qinghan's divine sense operated at an extremely fast speed. His soul became extremely exhausted after a short period of time. However, this was the moment when the profound meaning of the starry river against the sky appeared. The power of the starry river universe in his body swirled into a vast whirlpool, and the power of the divine sense gradually took shape. However, his realm and strength were too weak to form a powerful attack. The power of the Star River Reversal was not as strong as the fiery sun in the early stage. However, Yi Qinghan wouldn't underestimate it since it was the #1 divine ability under the immortal emperor. Woo-woo, the stars in the sky reversed. The power of the universe poured into Yi Qinghan's body. The surface of his body emitted a milky white light. This power made the blood of the Yen clan restless. The power of the blood of the Yen clan erupted. It took the initiative to absorb the power of the universe to refine the blood and flesh. The blood of the Yen clan became more and more vigorous. It almost ignited the potential in Yi Qinghan's body. The blood of the Yen clan even began to circulate on its own. It absorbed the laws of the human Tao and used some divine abilities. Yi Qinghan instantly entered a state of meditation. He was comprehending the operation of the universe and the movement of the universe. At this moment, in the Xianyuan Palace, Xianyuan God and his family of 4 were in the main hall. Xianyuan Zhetsong lowered his head and didn't dare to look directly at Xianyuan God. "I'm the son of an immortal emperor. How could I give birth to a bastard like you? You're completely brainless and eager for instant benefit. You even believe in your enemy. Don't you know what kind of person Xianyuan Tai is? Also, you even dared to hit Qingyun. Do you have any conscience?" Back then, she went to the Endless Peak Mountain to find the true spirit fire dragon grass for you. She almost died there. "You ungrateful bastard. I'll kill you today." Xianyuan God angrily scolded. After saying that, Xianyuan Xianshen pulled up the divine whip and was about to strike, but he was stopped by Xianyuan Zhetsong's Empress Mother. "Husband, do you really want to kill him? You actually used the blazing spirit whip. He doesn't have many people supporting him right now, but he's one of the strongest. How can you not be anxious? Instead, you want to teach him a lesson. What kind of father are you?" Xianyuan Zhetsong's mother asked Xianyuan Xianshen. Xianyuan Qingyun pursed her lips. She had come back today to see how her parents were going to teach her elder brother a lesson. In the end, when she saw her mother actually stopping them, she couldn't help but feel a little unhappy. Lingli frowned at Qingyun and said, "Your brother is your elder brother. Can't he teach you a lesson? You didn't remind him but blamed him instead. Nyang Qin is really disappointed." Those words instantly hurt Xianyuan Qingyun's heart. Judging from Ling Li's expression, those words were definitely not unintentional. He was truly angry. Xianyuan Qingyun looked at her mother in astonishment and asked with a trembling voice, "You blame me for this matter?" The atmosphere in the family suddenly changed. Everyone was resentful. Xianyuan Xianshen heaved a heavy sigh, waved his hand to throw away the blazing spirit whip, and said in a muffled voice, "At this time, the relationship between heaven-suppressing Marquis and us is not bad. He will definitely help us, but at this time, it depends on Qingyun. Qingyun, you are the apple of our eye. Everything can be done for you. But this matter concerns whether your brother can reach the third level of Golden Immortal. You have to do your best to make heaven's suppressing Marquis support us. Xianyuan Qingyun's mouth twitched. She was in a very bad mood. If Xianyuan Xianshen taught Xianyuan Zhetsong a lesson, she might forgive him and even help him again. Unfortunately, not only did she not see her parents teaching Xianyuan Zhetsong a lesson, she even scolded herself for being immature. I'm not in a good mood. I've already made my stance clear. That slap hurt my heart. I can acknowledge him as my brother, but I won't help him fight for the crown prince position. That's it, I'm leaving. I'll go to the heaven-suppressing prefecture and won't come back for no reason. With that, Xianyuan Qingyun turned around. She didn't want to give her family any more chances. She also didn't want Yi Qinghan to get involved in the fight for the crown prince position. Forming factions for personal gain was very annoying to the immortal emperors. Hua! Xianyuan Zhetsong stopped Xianyuan Qingyun and said with a bitter smile, "Sister, if you're still angry with me, you can use the blazing spirit whip to give me a lesson. I know I'm wrong. You know how much I value the crown prince position. Only with the position can I provide endless resources to reach the third level of Golden Immortal. Only with it can I have the qualifications to enter the dangerous lands or the ancient immortal world. Only then can I break through the shackles and reach the immortal Emperor realm. This is our family's only chance. Don't you want to see your brother reach the immortal Emperor realm?" Xianyuan Qingyun took a deep breath. She waved her hand and grabbed the blazing spirit whip. She looked at her parents and said firmly, "Allow me to whip my brother 100 times with all my strength, and I'll ask the heaven-suppressing Marquis for help. Do you agree?" Unruly. Willful. Nonsense. Xianyuan God and Ling Li immediately reprimanded at the same time. But Xianyuan Qingyun was truly angry. She directly threw the blazing spirit whip on the table and shouted, "Yes, I'm being willful, I'm being willful. It's all my fault. I'll leave the imperial capital, okay? The heaven-suppressing Marquis won't help him. He's just been conferred the title of heaven-suppressing Marquis and imperial uncles to help my brother. You're harming the heaven-suppressing Marquis. He didn't come today because of this reason. Can't you see it?" Just as Xianyuan Qingyun's family was quarreling, the immortal spirit energy above Princess Qingyun's residence suddenly became restless. The nebula rolled and the violent power of the universe swept through the mountains and rivers. It appeared above the imperial capital and alarmed the experts from all over the world. The Marquis and imperial uncles who hadn't left the imperial capital were all awakened. They looked up at the sky and were very surprised. Royal Clothing Workshop. In the workshop master's pavilion, the workshop master stood at the window and looked at the skies above Princess Qingyun's residence. He muttered to himself in surprise, "What a formidable talent! It's only been half a day and he's already entered that state. It seems he will be the second person to completely comprehend the Star River reverse space diagram." Whoosh! The workshop master disappeared from the pavilion and appeared above the princess's residence. He looked down at Yi Qinghan, who was sitting cross-legged on the ground. His entire body was milky white and the power of the universe flowed around his body. The pressure of his aura made the flowers around him move. No wonder the immortal emperor thinks so highly of him. He directly conferred the title of heaven-suppressing Marquis at the early stage of the profound immortal realm and gave the Qilin district and the northern divine island to him. Looks like this kid's future is limitless. The workshop master stood above the clouds. No matter how the nebula rolled, she wasn't affected at all. It seemed like her strength was definitely at the golden immortal realm and was probably between the second and third stage of the golden immortal realm. Yi Qinghan was still in the middle of enlightenment. The little person in his divine sense was cultivating a divine art and began to borrow the power of the universe. The pressure was getting stronger and stronger. Chapter 25-34. At this moment, Yi Qinghan's entire body was exuding the power of the Milky Way universe. Under the milky white light, there was a hint of gold. The profound meaning of the Milky Way universe reversal divine ability was gathering, emitting pressure in all directions. All the guards and servants in the princess's residence were frightened out of their wits. They all retreated from the princess's residence, their faces full of fear. The sky was densely covered with nebulae, and the vortex came from above. It was as if the sky above was a higher-level universe. The beautiful, goddess-like owner looked down at the princess residence. She looked at Yi Qinghan and felt that something was off. Yi Qinghan's comprehension of the divine power was a little too fast. Most importantly, with his cultivation level and realm, it should be impossible for him to comprehend it to such an extent. Otherwise, his physical body and bloodline would not be able to withstand it. There's something wrong with his bloodline and body. He should be far stronger than others. It might be an ancient ancestral bloodline, the mistress muttered to herself. However, she did not think of the Yen clan bloodline. The human Tao of the Yen clan could not be cultivated by other clans. However, the cultivation techniques of other ancient clans could be cultivated by the Yen clan. Perhaps the world was unfair to the Yen clan in certain aspects, but it made up for it in other aspects. Time flowed like water. Just as the mistress was thinking, the light on Yi Qinghan's body flowed faster. Then, the power in his body was quickly exhausted. The nebulae in the sky dissipated and the vortex disappeared. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan stood up and scratched his head. Damn, I didn't have any experience. I didn't control my strength well and failed. At this moment, Supreme Yi was very excited because the one who comprehended the inverse space galaxy diagram was the purple glass phoenix. She was a real golden immortal big shot, and she was from the ancient times. She had seen some people use this kind of great magic, so it was much easier for her to comprehend it. In a short while, she deduced the first level of profound meaning and handed it to Supreme Yi. Yi Qinghan did not notice that Supreme Yi was cultivating the Milky Way universe reversal diagram. He directly grabbed his marquee robe, leaving Supreme Yi stunned for a long time. Bastard, you didn't give me a chance. Supreme Yi touched his nose. However, there was no rush. Yi Qinghan would definitely continue cultivating. In the sky, the district mistress pondered for a moment and decided to give Yi Qinghan some opportunities. With a flash, she appeared in the princess residence. Yi Qinghan was the only one in her stomach, so she did not hesitate and entered Yi Qinghan's room. Yi Qinghan was just about to change his clothes when he suddenly felt a chill down his spine. He hurriedly turned around and saw the beautiful district mistress. His heart leaped to his throat. If this district mistress wanted to kill him, she could have done so in a blink of an eye. Dong dong dong, Yi Qinghan's heartbeat sped up. When he saw the owner's identity, he hurriedly put on his marquee robes and bowed. Yi Qinghan greets the owner. The district mistress nodded. She looked at Yi Qinghan, who was as handsome as jade, and said, "This set of clothes fits you perfectly. It is not a disgrace for you to wear it." "Thank you for the clothes, district mistress. This junior is very satisfied with this set of clothes. You are indeed the owner of the Imperial Clothing Workshop. Just based on your attainments, you are definitely the #1 person in the world," Yi Qinghan said truthfully. Although the district mistress was beautiful, beyond anything else, Yi Qinghan did not have any desire. This kind of woman was so perfect that no man could match her. Perhaps he should just die alone. The district mistress said faintly, "All right, stop flattering me. I am here to remind you of some small tricks regarding the Milky Way universe reversal great divine ability. Listen carefully. I will only say it once." Yi Qinghan was immediately overjoyed. He hurriedly pulled a chair to the side of the district mistress and said respectfully, "District mistress, please have a seat. This junior is all ears." The district mistress did not stand on ceremony. She elegantly sat on the chair. After Yi Qinghan sat down, she directly said, "Listen carefully. This Milky Way universe reversal great divine ability is the number one divine ability below the immortal emperor realm. It is comparable to the Yen ancestor divine ability of the immemorial Yen clan. With your current cultivation level, it is best that you don't comprehend the later profundities. You only need to study the first level of profundities. The Milky Way universe reversal great divine ability has a total of 9 levels of profundities. If I were you, I would definitely not comprehend the diagram of the Milky Way universe reversal great divine ability. Instead, I would directly observe the Milky Way universe reversal great divine ability to comprehend the power of the stars and the vastness of the universe. When your cultivation level increases, the profundities of the Milky Way universe reversal great divine ability will naturally appear in your sea of consciousness. The owner's voice was like the sound of nature, crisp and powerful. Seeing that there were no distracting thoughts in Yi Qinghan's eyes, she couldn't help but nod in satisfaction. She continued, "Back then, I sat in the stargazing tower and watched the universe for 30,000 years. I watched the formation and evolution of the galaxies and universes. After 30,000 years, I began to comprehend the first level of the profound meaning. To a young man like you, this process might be dull and boring, but when you experience the power of the universe, you will find it interesting." Yi Qinghan listened quietly and did not dare to be distracted. If he missed today's opportunity, he would not be able to expect the district mistress to speak again. The 9 levels of profundities of the Milky Way universe reversal great divine ability can be divided into 3 levels of attack. Simply put, it is divided into the first, second, and third levels. The first level of attack can distort the space-time of the mountains and rivers. The second level can distort the space-time of the Milky Way universe reversal great divine ability. The third level can directly tear apart the space-time of the immortal world and even the entire universe. It can change all laws, pierce through the void, and be on par with the immortal emperors. Let me show you the power of the Milky Way universe reversal great divine ability. Watch carefully. Hua, the district mistress, stretched out her slender fingers. Her skin was as white as snow. Her slender fingertips circled in front of her chest. A Milky Way universe reversal great divine ability appeared in front of her. The stars were embellished and flowed in the same direction as the Milky Way universe reversal great divine ability. Each star had its own order and law. Countless stars gathered together. Who knew how strong one's soul power must be to control the operation of this Milky Way universe reversal great divine ability? Yi Qinghan's pupils shrank. He wanted nothing more than to embed the profundities of this Milky Way universe reversal great divine ability into his eyes. Hua! The district mistress began to mobilize the power of this Milky Way universe reversal great divine ability and unleashed a level 1 attack. The stars in the Milky Way universe reversal great divine ability suddenly spun faster. The terrifying power of the Milky Way universe reversal great divine ability tore through everything. Time began to flow backward and space continued to shatter. Some of the stars were even crushed into dust, forming a black hole right in front of Yi Qinghan's eyes. Yi Qinghan had goosebumps all over his body. He felt that if he were to be touched by this tiny black hole, his golden body of paragon would not even last a breath before dying. This was only a level 1 attack. If it were a level 2 attack, how terrifying would it be? It was unimaginable. The first 3 levels of profundities had to be comprehended to the great perfection great divine ability. That was the peak of a level 1 attack. At this moment, the district mistress was mobilizing power that was at least at the mid-level of a level 1 attack. She obviously did not want Yi Qinghan to have any misconceptions or to have his Tao heart crushed by an attack of this level. Cultivation was usually done step by step. It was obvious that one would not be able to reach the peak in one go. The abstruse profundities were not something that could be comprehended in a day. At this moment, Yi Qinghan was a little confused. However, the district mistress smiled sweetly and said faintly, "It's good that you're confused. If you could see through the profundities in one glance, wouldn't my 30,000 years in the stargazing tower have been wasted?" What? Yi Qinghan immediately stood up and said respectfully, "Thank you for your nurturing, district mistress. I will remember this in my heart." The district mistress nodded and said, "Remember, the path of a demon is also one that takes one step at a time. A demon that does not have time to settle down will either stop at the level of a big shot or die. It will be impossible for them to reach the level of the venerated Dragon Marquis. If you want to defeat the venerated Dragon Marquis, you must learn how to settle down. Because your path has been too fast, so fast that many demons do not dare to believe it." Chapter 25-35. If you have any questions, please add me on QQ 167000461. Looking for monthly votes and recommendation vote. Listening to the wise man's words was better than reading for 10,000 years. The last few words from the master struck Yi Qinghan like lightning. Settle down. It was very important. It could suppress the personality of a monstrous genius and reduce his impulsiveness. Only then would he have more room for improvement in the future. Thank you for your advice. After this junior returns, I will build the stargazing tower to study the evolution and operation of the universe. I will not do anything reckless." Yi Qinghan bowed and said gratefully. The master's expression remained the same. Her snow-white skin glowed in divine light. She was extremely beautiful. Her every action and every word was followed by the laws of heaven and earth. Hua! The master stood up and looked outside the window. She said softly, "Qingyun is back. Take good care of her. Today you will gather with your insane sect. Don't stay in the imperial capital anymore and don't talk to those big shot." Yi Qinghan bowed and said, "I understand. And I am surprised that you didn't visit Xian God Xianyuan. I will leave now. Don't tell anyone that I saw you." Hua! The space in the room collapsed. Before the door was even opened, the master had already disappeared. The space quickly recovered. The master's cultivation was already heaven-defying. She could kill without leaving a trace. At this moment, Yi Qinghan could not help but be cautious. If he angered the Eastern Emperor Grand Sovereign and Zun Long Marquis, things would not end well for him. Dong dong dong, a few heavy knocks came from the door. Then, Xianyuan Qingyun appeared in front of Yi Qinghan with an unhappy face. "Help me pack up. I will never come back," Xianyuan Qingyun said firmly. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. If he kidnapped the princess and never came back, how could Xian God Xianyuan not go to the heaven-suppressing prefecture? "What happened? Did you quarrel with your family?" "It is normal to quarrel. There is no need to leave home forever," Yi Qinghan advised. "Humph!" Xianyuan Qingyun snorted and said sadly, "I thought they really doted on me, but in fact they were all waiting for me to grow up so that they could find me an in-law who could help them. The one who really doted on me was my brother, not me." Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. Many families were like this, and Xianyuan Qingyun was not the only one who was like this. The structure was like this, favoring males over females. After all, in an era of war, there were many males and females. Females were naturally worthless and became trading objects. Yi Qinghan said calmly, "Forget it, I won't try to persuade you. You just need to calm down. Pack up some of your valuables and leave the rest here. If you have the chance to come back in the future, you won't have to buy everything again." Xianyuan Qingyun puckered her lips and muttered, "What a heartless fellow. He actually doesn't know how to console her." As soon as she finished speaking, Xianyuan Qingyun directly paid no further attention to Yi Qinghan, and she turned around and headed to the side hall before utilizing her immortal ring to take away a large amount of clothes, precious treasures, and the immortal coins she'd accumulated over the years. Tang Jiao sat in the main hall, casually sipping her tea. Tap, tap, tap. Yi Qinghan walked over slowly. As he gazed at Tang Jiao's blood-red skin, he rubbed the corners of his mouth as he gazed at her from afar, and he pondered in his heart. If I'm able to study the bloodline of this ancient god, then I presume I'll benefit greatly. But her cultivation and combat strength are both stronger than me. How can I make her obediently lie down and allow me to study her? Right at this moment, Exalt Yi appeared by Yi Qinghan's side in a wretched manner, and he followed along Yi Qinghan's gaze as he spoke in a flattering manner. Drugging her or knocking her unconscious with a rod is fine. Slap. Yi Qinghan gave him a backhanded slap. This little bastard truly understands me too well. What sort of medicine can make a perfection stage mysterious immortal realm expert fall unconscious? Yi Qinghan rolled his eyes. Even if such a thing existed, it was extremely difficult to find. As for knocking her unconscious with a rod, it was even more impossible. Tang Jiao had many idiots, so how could she not know if she was knocked unconscious? Once she woke up, she could chase him to the ends of the earth. Until now, Tang Jiao was the only person Yi Qinghan had seen who had atavistic bloodline. Even Xianyuan Zhetsong's bloodline couldn't be considered as atavistic. It could only be said that his bloodline was denser than others. At this moment, Tang Jiao felt a sense of danger in her heart. She couldn't help but turn to look at Yi Qinghan, only to find that he was also staring at her. She couldn't help but frown. This guy definitely has enmity towards me. What is he trying to do? Tang Jiao was very sure. If Yi Qinghan wasn't the heaven-suppressing marquis, she really wanted to teach him a lesson. Boom boom boom. Hua, Tang Jiao's bloodline was stimulated by the sense of danger. Her ancient god blood was ignited, and her aura filled the princess residence's main hall. Her aura was extremely oppressive, and her eyes emitted an ancient divine will, causing even Yi Qinghan to feel great pressure. Heaven-suppressing marquis, if you want to be my enemy, then go ahead and try. My Tang clan's territory isn't far from your heaven-suppressing prefecture. Tang Jiao coldly warned. Yi Qinghan awkwardly scratched his head, but he didn't expect Tang Jiao to sense it. He immediately scratched his head and smiled embarrassedly. Goddess, you misunderstand. This little one was attracted by your beauty and was a little absent-minded. Tang Jiao would be a fool if she believed him. Looking at Yi Qinghan's frivolous appearance, she felt anger rising in her heart. Don't talk nonsense with me. If it wasn't for Qingyun's sake, I would definitely strip you naked and see what kind of ghost you are. At this moment, Tang Jiao was already very suspicious of Yi Qinghan's identity. The ancient god will in her eyes became even denser, as if it wanted to see through the shackles and see Yi Qinghan's bloodline. Yi Qinghan couldn't help but grin evilly and teased. I didn't think that we would have the same thoughts. I also want to strip you naked and study you beauty. Boom! Tang Jiao's aura burst out, piercing through the clouds. The awakening of her ancient god bloodline forced Yi Qinghan to take a few steps back. Don't think that I won't dare to do anything just because you are a marquis. Tang Jiao's face turned red as her killing intent soared to the sky. She didn't think that a little red loli would have such a powerful aura. The surrounding fire elements covered the area, almost igniting the spacetime. Primordial Fire Ancient God Shrine. Yi Qinghan looked at Tang Jiao in surprise. He didn't think that the current Primordial Fire Ancient God Shrine was actually a woman. He wondered if she had the primordial godhead. If she did, then no one in the younger generation would be her match. Even Xianyuan Zhetsong wouldn't be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with her. The elites of the ancient races weren't on the heaven ranking because they were more low-key, and didn't want to expose their clans to the outside world. Primordial fire, ancient god, truly fiery. Yi Qinghan smiled and waved his hand. Fairy, don't be angry. If we are talking about teasing, then you were the one who teased me first. You were the one who wanted to strip me naked and study me. I was only casually retorting, why are you having such a big reaction? Tang Jiayao was furious, but she couldn't act recklessly in the inner city's princess mansion. After leaving the imperial capital, I want to see the heaven-suppressing marquis's ability. Tang Jiayao coldly declared war. Yi Qinghan shrugged and didn't tease her anymore. At this time, Xianyuan Qingyun walked out of the side hall. Seeing the two opposing each other, she couldn't help but pout her lips. She's not in a good mood and you two still have the mood to flirt here? Are you two quarrelsome lovers in your previous life? Chapter 25-36. In the princess residence, the two experts were at each other's throats, and even Xianyuan Qingyun could no longer control herself. If it wasn't for the fact that they were in the inner city, they would have already fought each other. Supreme Yi wasn't afraid of things getting out of hand, and he even helped Yi Qinghan to clamor as if he couldn't wait to start a fight. Xianyuan Qingyun tried her best to calm Tang Jiayao down, but Yi Qinghan's nonchalant attitude made Tang Jiayao gnash her teeth in anger. Let's go to the heaven-suppressing prefecture, stop fooling around. Xianyuan Qingyun looked at the two and begged pitifully. Yi Qinghan shrugged and said, It's time for me to leave too. Are you coming with me to the immemorial Tang clan or to the insane sect? Xianyuan Qingyun looked at Tang Jiayao as if she wanted her to follow her to the insane sect. Tang Jiayao smirked and she glanced at Yi Qinghan before nodding in agreement. The four of them quickly left the princess residence and traveled at full speed. Half a day later, they were out of the outer city and far away from the imperial capital. Whoosh, the four of them traveled through the sky. Tang Jiayao and Xianyuan Qingyun were even faster than Yi Qinghan. After traveling for more than 10 days, they crossed one small city after another and arrived at a vast mountain range. There were few people and ferocious beasts roaming about. Tang Jiayao and Xianyuan Qingyun landed outside the mountain range and signaled Yi Qinghan to land. Yi Qinghan landed not far away and asked, What's the matter, Fairy Tang? Take off the marquis robe and let's fight. I will suppress my cultivation level to the peak of Mystic Immortal and I will not take advantage of you. Tang Jiayao said coldly. Yi Qinghan rolled his eyes. What if someone ambushed him after taking off the robe? Not interested. I only like to fight with women in bed. I have no experience in this wilderness. Let's wait until we get to the heaven-suppressing prefecture. Yi Qinghan said calmly. Boom, hua. Tang Jiayao was enraged. Her aura soared to the sky as her primordial godhead appeared on her forehead. Terrifying ancestral qi and primordial godforce tore through the void. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan dragged Sovereign Yi and directly fled into the void. He executed the greater teleportation technique and stellar transposition, escaping without a trace in the blink of an eye. Yi Qinghan. I'm going to kill you. I don't care if you are the Heaven Suppression Marquis or not. Tang Jiayao roared with rage, and then she gestured with her fair hand and directly chased after them with Xianyuan Qingyun. Xianyuan Qingyun felt rather helpless. Yi Qinghan had a foul mouth, and Tang Jiayao's bloodline was noble and could not be blasphemed. Yet, Yi Qinghan just had to provoke her. Big sister, you don't understand this bastard. His spirit pet, Exalt Yi, has an even more despicable mouth. It's best if you don't offend him, otherwise you'll be angered to death. Xianyuan Qingyun reminded with good intentions. Tang Jiayao's battle robe was cold, and her primordial godhead emitted divine light as her aura soared into the sky. I must tear his mouth apart today. Let's see if his mouth is despicable or my primordial fire god divine ability is more powerful. The fire element around Tang Jiayao was extremely dense, and even the void was ignited. Her speed was getting faster and faster, and it seemed like she was truly enraged. However, Yi Qinghan's speed was not bad either. He was at the peak of the mystic immortal realm after all, and he had not used his true strength before. Now that he had used his true strength, Tang Jiayao was left more than 1,000 meters behind him. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The two of them chased each other. Exalt Yi returned to his original body and stood on Yi Qinghan's shoulder. He grinned and said, "Boss, look at that little pepper. She's really hot. She's already become a cooked prawn. TSK, TSK, TSK. Her figure is even hotter than her personality." Exalt Ye's voice was very loud, and it traveled along the wind into Tang Jiayao's ears. Hiss, whoosh, whoosh, thump, thump. Tang Jiayao's breathing was rapid, and her heart was heaving up and down. She was flustered and exasperated. Her primordial divine power became even denser, and an afterimage of a primordial divine shrine actually appeared behind her. Her aura was even stronger, as if a primordial divine shrine had really appeared. Yi Qinghan, who was 1,000 meters away, felt his hair stand on end. He felt that his blood was about to stop flowing. The primordial ancestral bloodline was really too powerful. Whoosh! Suddenly, Tang Jiayao's speed more than doubled, and the distance between them was shortened to about 100 meters. Yi Qinghan, kneel down and apologize today, and I'll spare you. Tang Jiayao roared. Yi Qinghan formed a seal with his palms and absorbed the power of the universe. Time and space distorted and shattered, and a vortex appeared above the clouds. The first level of the starry sky defying grand ability, but it was not an attack. Instead, it used the grand ability's law to travel through the void and directly increased his speed. In the blink of an eye, he had escaped more than 100 miles away. This bastard. He just obtained the starry sky-defying diagram, and he's already cultivated the first level. Tang Jiayao cursed and gritted her teeth in hatred. Xianyuan Qingyun was so troubled that she was about to cry. One was her best sister, and the other was the man she loved the most. The two of them were like fire and water. Fire gods profound, burning mountains and rivers. Whoosh! The space before them shattered, and Tang Jiayao brought Xianyuan Qingyun into the space crack. Their figures flashed, and they actually traveled through another dimension. About half an hour later, Yi Qinghan's speed increased, and he was already a few thousand miles away. But the space before him was distorted, and there seemed to be flames shooting out. Whoosh! Tang Jiayao brought Xianyuan Qingyun and blocked his path. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan did not even bother with her. He took a detour and rushed towards the heaven-suppressing prefecture, which was the north. You can't escape today. If you're a man, fight me! Tang Jiayao roared. Yi Qinghan did not reply, but Paragon Yi smirked and said, "Hey, beauty, my boss likes to fight on the bed. When you reach the heaven-suppressing prefecture, take off your clothes and declare war. My boss will definitely beat you until you kneel and submit." Tang Jiayao's breath stagnated, and she almost fell from the void. "This is the end of my patience." Tang Jiayao suppressed her anger, adjusted her state of mind, and the ancient shrine behind her became more solid. She formed a hand seal, and the wheel of fire spun in the void. "In the name of the ancient fire god, I destroy the enemy before me." Boom! Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In an instant, the wheel of fire shattered the void, and everything in front of it turned into nothingness. It then blasted towards Yi Qinghan's back. Starry sky reversal, space-time distortion. Yi Qinghan cast a small part of the starry sky-defying diagram, and twisted the void, shifting the ancient shrine's attack into another dimension. Boom! Tang Jiayao's powerful attack exploded in the other dimension, shattering the stable, undying, immortal world's dimension. Flames soared into the sky like an exploding sun, blinding to the eyes. The shock waves were all absorbed by the Marquis garb, and the starry sky-defying diagram within the garb was activated. Kakik, this marquee garb is not bad. Hot girl, don't tire yourself to death and still not be able to break through our defense. Paragon Yi mocked. Hiss hiss hiss. Huff huff huff. Tang Jiao inhaled a few mouthfuls of cold air, and then exhaled. Her chest was heaving up and down, and she was completely flustered. Big sister, calm down. You mustn't be fooled by Supreme Exalt Yi. According to what I know, this fellow can anger someone to death. Xianyuan Qinyun helped Tang Jiao calm down as she stroked the deep cleavage on her chest. Bam! Tang Jiao fell to the ground, and she was so angry that she was about to cry. Yi Qinghan, if you want the complete version of the starry sky-defying diagram, come to the Tang family and find me. Tang Jiao thought it through, and actually asked Xianyuan Qinyun to stay. Xianyuan Qinyun opened her mouth to say something, but seeing Tang Jiao's flustered and exasperated appearance, she would probably go crazy if she didn't agree. Primordial fire gods had bad tempers, especially Tang Jiao, who had obtained the primordial fire godhead. Her temper was explosive, and no one could control her if she lost control. Yi Qinghan, who had fled far away, couldn't help but rub his nose and smile. Wait until I cultivate the first level of the inverse space galactic diagram to the great circle of perfection. At that time, it'll be hard to tell who will win or lose. 30,000 years. With that, Yi Qinghan turned again and rushed in the direction of the Crazy Mansion's army. Chapter 25-37. The former Quang Manor's land and the current heaven-suppressing prefecture formed a straight line that connected the north and south. The army slowly marched forward. The army's drums resounded in the sky and the sound of the zither filled the air. It was as if they were not migrating but conducting a large-scale activity. Thousands of immortal horses pulled thousands of war drums, and 3,000 bare-chested drummers took turns to beat the drums. They were sweating profusely and their veins were bulging. The billions of living beings brought from the Quang Manor's small realms felt their blood boiling. They migrated for millions of miles, and they did not feel tired at all. It was as if they were willing to follow the Quang Manor to their death. A large number of cavalrymen brought the old and the sick as they followed the melody. Emperor Yi specially composed a song and sang it over 1,000 times. The army followed along and sang the Song of the Martyrs. The song was about the War of the Monarchs. It was solemn and filled with power that stimulated the fighting spirit of the people. The foreign races emerged, the 9 continents flowed with blood. The martyrs fought, blood dyed the sky and corpses were everywhere. Ancestor Fu Su once said, "Without the mountains and rivers, what's the use of my broken body?" Great monarch Mountain Pangolin once did, with his monarch soul destroyed. He detonated his monarch body to protect our race. Millions of years have passed, but the legend still remains. Though the martyrs are dead, their souls live on in my heart. The monarch's soul forged my heavenly Tao sword. The blood of our race paved my path of life and death. How many young men fought for their lives? Millions of people fought for their lives. When our race was on the brink of destruction, the ancient killing god appeared and the Quang Manor's army was annihilated. Killed all of the dead, the mountains and rivers moved, only my banner remained. Now, the martyrs' souls are still here, protecting us from the heavens. The long song described the tragedy of the War of the Monarch. Many years ago, the inner and outer sects of Quang Manor had never experienced such a scene. But as they sang the song, they felt as if they were in a hopeless situation. Boom, boom, boom. The army and the living beings moved the mountains and rivers with powerful steps as they followed the song of the martyrs. The army sang in unison, their voices pierced through millions of miles and reached the clouds. Their battle armors rose along with the song and the zither's music. Their eyes shone brightly. Da-da-da. They moved faster and faster. Some of the older ones could not keep up, and some of the stronger ones carried them on their backs, drenched in sweat. Qitian Monkey King, Wu Yan, Yi Chentian and the other Kuang Manor's elders cast an array formation and formed a spirit-gathering array formation, providing the countless people with fresh immortal spirit qi. Yi Qinghan chased for 3 months and finally caught up to the footprints of Kuang Fu's army. The footprints of the army were clearly visible, but it seemed like they were 10 days behind. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan stepped through the void and chased after the army. A streak of light pierced through the clouds like a star moving on its own. Yi Qinghan transformed into a star and used the power of the mountains and rivers to move him. As time passed, his speed became faster and faster, and his footwork became more and more proficient. In just 1 month, he had comprehended a set of footwork from the Star River inverse space diagram, which was several times faster than before. Originally, Yi Qinghan would have needed 2 months to catch up to the army. However, after a month, he finally saw a large army. It was a black mass, and their aura was like a rainbow. Their singing echoed in the sky. These guys are so bored that their balls hurt. They're quite free, aren't they? They even composed a song and sang the ballad of the Emperor War. I wonder if I'm included in it. Supreme Yi listened to the ballad expectantly. Back then, during the Emperor War, he had also tricked the great emperor to death. Yi Qinghan grinned and laughed. I've killed so many undead emperors, but my name isn't in it either. It's a song that praises the martyrs, not you. TSK, whoosh, Supreme Yi transformed into a human and leaped into the sky above the army. He shouted, I'll ask the little master to sing my praises. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Supreme Yi leaped into the air and stepped on the shoulders of the army. As soon as Supreme Yi appeared, the army's aura became even stronger. This was because Supreme Yi's arrival meant that the boss of Kuang Fu had arrived. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan's marquee robe danced, and he moved 1,000 meters in 1 step. He stepped from the right side of the army to the front of the army. He raised his right hand and 7 feet of violent hammer, which affected the army's aura and shook the 9 heavens. Roar! The army of 900,000 roared without any instructions. Boss is back. The army turned around and the elderly and orphans who just migrated with the army turned around to look at this legend. No one in the immortal celestial world could have such prestige. Yi Qinghan wore a faint smile on his face. His dignified aura was reduced by 30%, but it was replaced by an aura that made people respect and love him. I'm back. From today onwards, we have a home. In the heaven-suppressing palace, whoever dares to offend the people of Kuang Fu, no matter how far away they are, will be killed. Yi Qinghan channeled his divine power and roared. He leaped into the sky and his marquee robe fluttered. His powerful aura spread out in all directions. Heaven suppressing! Heaven suppressing! Heaven suppressing! The army responded with an even stronger aura, causing the people in the small cities to feel numb. Their blood vessels surged and they almost vomited blood. This was the Kuang Fu's aura, one that no one could destroy. The Kuang Fu could die, but their will could not be destroyed. At this moment, the Kuang Fu army and the people of 9 continents had truly gone mad. Their faces were flushed red and they kept on shouting. The faith formed into a golden dragon that swept across thousands of miles. Roar! The golden dragon circled around Yi Qinghan's golden body. After a while, it entered his body, causing Yi Qinghan's soul to instantly surge, almost breaking through the big boss level. Hoo! Yi Qinghan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. The pure faith was not obtained through trickery. It was the accumulation of countless people's faith. The army's pace was firm and it affected the billions of people. It sped up a lot. Standing on top of a mountain far away, Tang Jiayao and Xianyuan Qingyun tailed Yi Qinghan. She wanted to humiliate Yi Qinghan, but she was stunned by the Kuang Fu army's aura and did not dare to move. Tang Jiao pouted and said to Xianyuan Qingyun, "Let's go. If he doesn't come to pick you up, you are not allowed to stay in the heaven-suppressing palace. I would like to see if heaven-suppressing Marquis has the guts to do so." Xianyuan Qingyun was helpless. Tang Jiao wanted to fight with Yi Qinghan. She would not be able to leave Tang Jiao's side without a victor being decided. Xiao, Tang Jiao brought Xianyuan Qingyun away. If Yi Qinghan wanted to comprehend the strongest art in the world, he would have to defeat the ancient fire god shrine. Tang Jiao was serious, but Yi Qinghan did not care about her at all. He led the army past a big city and demanded the guards to replace the immortal horses. He also demanded double the resources and horses for the people to ride so that it would be easier for them to migrate. There were too many people in this group, and their cultivation had also increased a lot. Yi Qinghan, or the older generation of the Kuang Zone, could no longer hold so many people in their small world. They had no other choice but to travel a long distance. However, Yi Qinghan used his identity to mobilize the war horses and horses from dozens of cities. He disguised the Kuang Fu army as cavalrymen and brought the old and the sick with him to speed up. Time passed quickly. At this time, Emperor Tai Hao had already mobilized the army to help Yi Qinghan build the heaven-suppressing palace. In 10 years, a heaven-suppressing palace city that was as grand as the outer city of the sovereign race was formed. It was big enough to contain tens of millions of people. Chapter 2538. In the heaven-suppressing prefecture district, a majestic city was built in just a few years. The surroundings were still desolate as the army did not destroy the environment nor plunder the resources here. The heaven-suppressing prefecture district belonged to the youngest Lord Heaven-suppressing Marquis, who would not be afraid of being punished. Emperor Tai Hao sent a royal uncle to oversee the construction and did not allow for any mistakes. The heaven-suppressing prefecture district was built perfectly, waiting for Yi Qinghan to come and take over. The boundary stone of Eternal World was once again placed at the highest point of the sea. It was not placed outside the heaven-suppressing prefecture district. Instead, it stood proudly, allowing the sea breeze and waves to hit it. Inside the Eternal World, a small affiliated realm, the land of the 9 continents. In front of a huge tomb, a few bamboo houses were still standing despite the wind and the sun. Yi Mingxi recited the ancient heavenly scriptures in front of the tomb every day, praying for her dead mother. She had spent countless years here, enjoying the loneliness and desolation of the world. Void God Yi Yun'er and Yi Qinghan's son and daughter always accompanied her. Other than cultivating, they would visit their aunt. Time flew by and Yi Mingxi was no longer the little girl. She looked even more mature than Yi Qinghan now. In the majestic imperial tomb, ancient forests were everywhere, suppressed by the great laws. Even though the mountains and rivers moved and time flowed, this place never moved. The divine dragon cauldron stood beside it, never moving even once. On this day, Yi Mingxi woke up from her recitation and felt Yi Yun'er and Yi Xuxian standing behind her. She turned to look at her 2 young nieces and nephews and smiled. "You 2 don't have to stay here with me. A few days ago, I seemed to have heard my brother's voice. There is no more danger in the 9 states. You 2 go out and take a look." Now, Void God Yi and Yi Yun'er had cultivated to the spirit immortal level in the small realm. However, due to their lack of battle experience, their battle prowess was not very good. "Aunt, are you still not leaving the Imperial Mausoleum?" Yi Yun'er asked with heartache. Time was merciless. Yi Mingxi's mentality had aged. She didn't even know how long she had lived. Every time she recited the heavenly scripture, she didn't cultivate, but her cultivation level increased with the passage of time. She didn't even know what was going on. After hundreds of thousands of years of accumulation, her cultivation level had already reached the profound immortal realm. It was just that she didn't have any combat strength. I won't go out. Aunt is old and wants to accompany mother here. You all should also go out and gain experience. Yi Mingxi calmly said. Yi Yun'er and Yi Su-shin looked at each other. Everyone from the wild sect had gone out to fight. Only the two of them stayed here to accompany Yi Mingxi. Even though they left halfway, they came back very quickly. Tens of years later, the army brought the 9 continents people to migrate, and no one stopped them along the way. Thus, they finally arrived at the heaven-suppressing palace after the 30th year. The heaven-suppressing prefecture's boundary stone tablet was erected and the army was excited. I'm finally home. Once they entered the heaven-suppressing prefecture, they would no longer have to wander around. Yi Qinghan touched the corner of his mouth and thought about how to distribute the land. In the end, he decided to call for a meeting. The army brought the countless people deep into the heaven-suppressing prefecture, and they continued to move. Some people also started to choose the land with good feng shui. The army did not stop them, and the people had the right to choose. Yi Qinghan looked at Yan Ao and the others. He spread out the map of the heaven-suppressing prefecture and pointed at 2 territories. The heaven-suppressing prefecture now is formed by the Qiu-Lin region and the northern Divine Island. How do you all think we should distribute the land? Inner sect, outer sect, ancient massacre god. Not only was it a matter of resources, but the safety of the entire region must be taken care of as well. Yan Ao was the one with the most authority. After all, when it came to the arrangement of the army, if a military saint like him did not have the authority, who else could make the decision? The inner sect will be stationed at the northern Divine Island and guard the boundary stone of Eternal World. In fact, the experts from the smaller regions are the most trustworthy. We can also nurture the people from the smaller regions. As for the southeastern region, it is close to the Dragon Emperor Celestial Empire's border, and could be attacked by enemies at any time. As for the outer sect, we will place them at the center of the heaven-suppressing prefecture, forming a triangle with the ancient massacre god and the inner sect. They can reinforce the 2 teams at any time. After the 5 million private army is built, we will have the private army replace the ancient massacre god to guard the southeastern region. Yan Ao pointed at the map and looked at the others. The ancient massacre god was controlled by Yan Yunbei and Di Longtian in name and in reality. This time, the ancient massacre god's mission was the most dangerous. If they had any objections, Yan Ao would not force them. However, the people of the insane sect were not afraid of danger. No problem. However, I cannot stay in the heaven-suppressing prefecture for too long. Yi, find someone to guard the border with Longtian. Yan Yunbei did not object. He was the oldest ancient massacre god, the pillar of the massacre god's faith. If he did not object, Di Longtian would not object as well. Yi Qinghan saw that Yan Ao had decided on the formation. He then looked at Qitian Monkey King, Jiang Jingtian, Yi Chuntian and Gu Qingyu. These 4 were the strongest in terms of offense, and were suitable to guard the border. He then said, the 4 of you will guard the southeastern border with the ancient massacre god. Don't worry about the resources, I have already prepared them for you. However, you will have to take turns to cultivate in seclusion. Do not leave the army without a leader. Gu Qingyu, Jiang Jingtian, and Qitian Monkey King didn't retort, but Yi Chuntian didn't dare to. The reason why Yi Qinghan had placed his son in the most dangerous place was because he had considered everyone's mentality. The outer sect army is still under Lu Aotian's control. You can expand the army as much as you want. It would be best if the number of soldiers is limited to 1 million. Otherwise, the marquises will be unhappy if you have too many private armies. Yi Qinghan looked at Lu Aotian and said calmly. Lu Aotian laughed, patted his chest and said, Boss, don't worry. Back then, I used the army to sweep across the Chaos Plain and reach the Central Monarch region. Give me the chance and I can also attack the Zunlong Mansion. Yi Qinghan laughed and said, "Do you think the Chaos Plane is the same as the immortal realm? The Zun Long Marquis alone can destroy an army." Everyone laughed. With the outer sect and ancient massacre god settled, the inner sect was naturally settled as well. The inner sect was guarded by the two beauties, Emperor Yi and Jian Qinshu. The rest of the older generation experts would naturally enter the North Divine Island to cultivate. Yi Qinghan withdrew 15 golden immortal-grade immortal rings and over 30 high-grade mysterious immortal-grade immortal rings. Some were congratulatory gifts, while some were obtained from Ghostcry Ridge. The resources within them were boundless, and it was sufficient for any senior to use. Hua! Yi Qinghan distributed everything. Those who received a golden immortal-grade immortal ring would not receive a Xian-grade high-tier immortal ring. Those who did not receive a golden immortal-grade immortal ring would receive 3 high-tier immortal rings. Yi Qinghan weighed the last golden immortal elixir in his hand and said solemnly, "It's done. I only left 1 immortal ring. I will be going into seclusion soon. Everyone must be aware of danger and be vigilant in times of peace. Danger can come at any time." "Yes, boss." Everyone played with the immortal rings excitedly. Only Lin Wutian and Yan Yunbei did not have one. They did not even have a Xian immortal ring. Yi Qinghan looked at the two and said with a smile, "You have big shots behind you now. You don't lack these resources. Give it to the others. Don't misunderstand." "Tsk." Yan Yunbei sneered in disdain. He knew that Yi Qinghan was teasing him. Lin Wutian naturally did not think too much. He knew how Yi Qinghan treated him. Yi Qinghan treated him better than his own son. Chapter 2539. After Yan Yunbei and Lin Wutian arranged the insane sect's army, the Bailing King and Luo Wuhan appeared not long after. Luo Wuhan wasn't stingy when he appeared. He gave Yi Qinghan 100 billion celestial coins as a congratulatory gift and also gave Sovereign Yi more than 80 golden immortal-level immortal fruit. Sovereign Yi looked at the 80 golden immortal-level immortal fruits and grinned. "Boss Luo, you won trillions of celestial coins last time. Why are you so stingy? I even allowed you to pay on credit. Why don't you pay me back more?" Luo Wuhan looked at Sovereign Yi with disdain and said, "I won't pay you back even a single coin. I'd rather give it to a beggar or throw it into the ocean. You bastard, how dare you ask me for more?" Sovereign Yi's mouth was wide open. He didn't expect Luo Wuhan to not give him any face. "You've got guts. Let's gamble again next time," Sovereign Yi said angrily. Luo Wuhan was too lazy to talk to Sovereign Yi. He said to Yi Qinghan, "Congratulations, heaven-suppressing Marquis. I'll take Yunbei away. Don't worry. As long as I'm alive, he won't die." Yi Qinghan nodded. Yan Yunbei could enter the martial record system to cultivate. His future achievements would definitely be better than his. The same was true for Lin Wutian. Bailing King was a king personally conferred by the immortal emperor. He also had the ancient Dao sword art. Not letting them go wasn't because he had a good relationship with them. That would be selfish. Yan Yunbei and Luo Wuhan left. Lin Wutian and the Bailing King appeared beside Yi Qinghan. "Heaven-suppressing Marquis, I don't have many resources on me. I hope you won't be offended by my words," Bailing King said coldly. Yi Qinghan didn't dare to be offended. He quickly cupped his fists and said, "Bailing King is too polite. I see Wutian as my son. I'm very grateful that brother Bailing King is willing to help me cultivate him. If Bailing King needs anything, just say the word. I'll definitely support you." Bailing King said coldly, "I don't have the money to give you a congratulatory gift, but I don't need your charity either. I'll be leaving now." "Show." King Bailing grabbed Lin Wutian and disappeared from the heaven-suppressing prefecture. Yi Qinghan shrugged. He did not expect the Bailing Duke to be so old-fashioned. Yen Ao, Mo Li, Li Feng and the others were in charge of the heaven-suppressing prefecture city. It was only then that Yi Qinghan could finally relax. Most of the hundreds of millions of people began to occupy treasured lands and settle down first. The inner sect took root in the northern Divine Sea Island region. All the members of the older generation and their descendants chose to take root near the boundary steel of Eternal World. The older generation of the Kuang sect had not suffered any losses since they entered the immortal world. Apart from those from the same generation as Yi Qinghan, there were also some old people who were almost unable to fight. The younger generation had not yet formed a fighting force, and there were less than 100 people in total. Yi Qinghan took a look and felt the pressure. The crazed sect still lacked talent. It was almost impossible to recruit talents from the 9 states. Few Yi Qinghan sighed and entered the camp of the older generation. The immortal peach tree took root in the immortal world. It was even more luxuriant now. The immortal peach tree was adorned with immortal peaches. A green lotus swayed in the wind as if it was about to bloom. Yi Qinghan came under the immortal peach tree and looked at the green lotus tenderly. He whispered, "I wonder when you will be able to transform?" The green lotus sword immortal destroyed his own body and foundation for Yi Qinghan. If he could not transform, he would never be able to repay this debt. Hua! The immortal peach elder transformed and appeared beside Yi Qinghan. He smiled and said, "Good news. According to my observation, the green lotus sword immortal will need another year before he can transform." Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed and he immediately bowed. "Thank you for your hard work all these years." 1 year was very fast. Yi Qinghan decided to postpone his closed-door cultivation. After all, this closed-door cultivation would be very long. He had to see the green lotus transform and return to the 9 states to take a look. The immortal peach elder smiled and said hoarsely, "Sect Master Yi, you go ahead. I will remind you before she transforms." Yi Qinghan nodded. Just as he was about to leave, the boundary steel of the eternal world suddenly flashed. 2 spirit immortal realm kids rushed out. Void God and Yun'er. Yi Qinghan was shocked. He did not expect it to be these 2 children. "Daddy!" Void God Yi and Yun'er saw Yi Qinghan the moment they came out of the boundary steel. They were overjoyed and immediately rushed over. Yi Qinghan greeted them and said sternly, "Where is your aunt?" "Aunt is still guarding the tomb and is unwilling to come out. We can't do anything about it," the 2 children said with a sad face. Hearing this, Yi Qinghan could not help but take a deep breath. He circulated his divine power and shouted, "Shi Gu, get out here!" Whoosh! Shi Gu immediately rushed out of the encampment and asked with a smile, "Boss, why are you looking for me?" Yi Qinghan glared and shouted angrily, "Why am I looking for you? How many years has it been since you last saw your wife? You have been fooling around all day. Now that everything has been arranged, why don't you go find your wife? Do you want me to bring her out to see you?" Shi Gu immediately felt his hair stand on end. He did not give Yi Qinghan a chance to speak and directly used the boundary steel to escape into the eternal world. Seeing Shi Gu escape, Void God Yi and Yun'er could not help but grin. "Pa. What are you laughing about? Look at your cultivation. After cultivating for so many years, you are still a little spirit immortal. Get out of here and cultivate in seclusion." Yi Qinghan casually slapped the back of the 2 men's heads. Void God Yi did not dare to refute. He could only touch the back of his head and feel wronged. There were too few resources in the 9 states. It was already good enough to cultivate to the spirit immortal realm. Yun'er was a girl, but she was not afraid of anything. She pouted and said, You only know how to teach us a lesson. Grandpa 9 Nether asked us to call you back." Yi Qinghan was startled. Only then did he remember that 9 Nether was still in the 9 state. He did not expect him to survive. Grandpa 9 Nether kept nagging you that you did not go back to see him. He said you were too lonely, so he chose to turn into the 9 nether underworld and complete the reincarnation order of the 9 state. However, by chance, he broke through to the Saint realm and optimized his blood and chi, recovering a part of his potential. If we did not go to see him often, you would have been scolded to death by him. He even hit me. Yuna retorted. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan did not say much and directly entered the eternal world. Now, he could be considered the true master of the great world. After traveling through the mountains and rivers, he entered the 9 states in the time it took for an incense stick to burn. Sure enough, the reincarnation order here had reached perfection, forming an underworld that was comparable to hell. It could control the reincarnation law of several small planes in the 9 state. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan broke through the void and entered the 9 nether underworld. The main hall of the underworld was not desolate. Many ghosts and immortals had almost cultivated into humans. 9 nether was too lonely. He began to cultivate some ghosts and immortals to pass the time. Yi Qinghan felt guilty. 9 nether was like a father to him. Now that he had let his father live here alone for so many years, how could he feel at ease? Whoosh! Yi Qinghan quickly entered the main hall of the underworld. He spread his divine sense and found 9 nether. Now, he was old and it was difficult for him to walk. Chapter 2540. 9 nether's face was full of wrinkles. He walked unsteadily in the garden, taking care of the flowers and plants. Apart from a few decent ghosts and immortals, these flowers and plants were his lifeblood. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and slowly walked behind 9 nether. He reached out and held 9 nether's withered hands from behind. He whispered, Qinghan is back to see you. In a split second, 9 nether almost stopped breathing. Time had passed too quickly. Only 9 nether was left of the people from back then. Not to mention that things had changed, even the things from back then were no longer the things from back then, and the people were no longer the people from back then. To 9 nether, living was torture. Yi Qinghan, Emperor Yi, was the only person 9 nether still knew. He was also the person he entrusted his life to. 9 nether even thought that he was hallucinating when he was about to die. He turned to look at Yi Qinghan's handsome face. It had not changed, but it was more mature. Yi Qinghan looked at 9 nether's turbid eyes and withered face. There was no luster left. He was glad that he had come early. It's Qinghan's fault. I didn't come back early to see you. Yi Qinghan whispered, his nose tingling. Smack! 9 nether waved his withered hand and gently hit Yi Qinghan's forehead. He said hoarsely, Brat, I thought you were dead. I thought I would never see you again. Yi Qinghan smiled, but it was a sad smile. 9 nether must be very lonely to say such words. I almost died, but I survived. Now that I've been conferred the title of Marquis in the undying immortal world, I've fought for a place for the crazy sect. From now on, I have my own home in the higher planes. I'm here to bring you back to enjoy life. You know many of the older generation in the crazy sect. You will have company in the future. Yi Qinghan looked at 9 nether with determination and said seriously. 9 nether shook his head and said, I have feelings for these flowers and plants. I'll let them accompany me for the rest of my life. If you can stay with me, I can die without regret. Yi Qinghan smiled confidently. He held 9 nether's withered hand and poured a vast amount of life force into 9 nether's body, changing his fate. Strands of divine light appeared on the surface of 9 nether's body. His blood was filled with power once again. His blood power that had been extinguished erupted with life force. Hua! With a flip of his hand, a peach of immortality appeared in Yi Qinghan's hand. It was filled with the energy of life and was crushed by him. The boundless medicinal energy was activated to its strongest state. Bang! Yi Qinghan poured all of the medicinal energy he had gathered into 9 nether's body. In an instant, All of the death energy and corpse energy in Nine Nether's body were expelled. Nine Nether controlled the life and death of the Nine States, but he couldn't control his own life and death. However, Yi Qinghan could control his own life and death. Even in the Nine Provinces and Eternal World, Yi Qinghan was the High God. Nine Nether could feel his life force blossoming. At that moment, however, he did not feel happy. Instead, he felt somewhat terrified. He had been alone for countless years. Now that he had to wait for death, would he have to endure loneliness once more? Yi Qinghan could sense the fear in Nine Nether's heart. He quickly comforted him, "Don't worry. From today onwards, you can see me whenever you want. Huang and the others are still here. Don't you want to see the glory of your children and grandchildren?" Hua. Yi Qinghan dispersed his divine power. Nine Nether was no longer withered. Instead, he was brimming with life force. It was as though he had become a different person. Nine Nether stared at Yi Qinghan and asked, "Can I really see you whenever I want?" He was afraid. He was truly afraid. The mentality of the elderly was never something that the young could fathom. They were afraid of loneliness. They were afraid of being alone. Yi Qinghan pursed his lips into a smile and nodded seriously. Qinghan is a man of his words. From today onwards, you can see us whenever you want. Ha ha ha! Nine Nether laughed cheerfully. He laughed very happily. This made him happier than if he were still alive. Yi Qinghan heaved a sigh of relief. He held Nine Nether's arm and said, "I'm going to pay my respects to my mother and persuade my younger sister. She's been guarding the Imperial Mausoleum for so many years. I reckon she's become a perverted old witch. That girl came to visit me midway. She's changed a lot. She's settled down so much that even this old man is surprised. I've never seen a child like her. She's not afraid of loneliness. She recites songs and ancient scriptures all day long. Her cultivation has advanced in an exaggerated manner, but she never cultivates." Nine Nether sighed. Yi Qinghan nodded. He left the underworld with Nine Nether and headed straight for the Imperial Mausoleum. At this moment, outside the Imperial Mausoleum, Gu was crying and snot. "My beloved wife, if you don't go out now, boss will beat me to death. It's been hundreds of thousands of years. I've been a widow for hundreds of thousands of years. Even if you sympathize with me, you have to go out with me." Gu knelt in front of the Imperial Mausoleum and persuaded earnestly. Yi Mingshi looked at Gu and said indifferently, "You actually know that it's been hundreds of thousands of years and you haven't come back to see me even once. It's clear that I'm not important in your heart. Go back." "Important? Who says I'm not important? I've been entangled with something. Ever since we left Eternal World, that bastard Sikong Tan Lang has been obstructing us everywhere. We have no chance to return. I've just arranged a place today. I didn't even rest before coming over. Elder, come with me." Gu cried bitterly. He wanted nothing more than to prostrate himself on the ground and repent sincerely. "I'm not going. I don't want to go anywhere right now. I'm fine here. Go back and tell Big Brother. He won't blame you." Yi Mingshi was unperturbed. It was as if she had turned into an old nun without emotions. "Ah," Gu sighed and shouted towards the sky, "I want it. What's the use of this iron rod? Everyone else can take a concubine but I can't. Boss, you're too unfair." Yi Mingshi coldly glanced at Gu and asked, "Why? Do you want to marry me?" "I don't. Even if the most beautiful woman in the world threw herself at me, I wouldn't want it," Gu said righteously. "Xiao. Hua." Yi Qinghan appeared outside the Imperial Mausoleum with Nine Nether. He glanced at Gu and mocked him disdainfully. "Shameless. You can't even control my sister, and you still want the most beautiful woman in the world. Why don't you stand shoulder to shoulder with the sun?" Gu wanted to cry but had no tears. He looked at Yi Qinghan for help. He was as pitiful as one could imagine. Yi Qinghan groaned and let go of Nine Nether's arm. He came to the imperial tomb and respectfully kowtowed a few times. He offered some wine and immortal fruit. He sighed and looked at Yi Mingxi. He was shocked by her cultivation realm. You? What kind of cultivation technique are you cultivating? I've been through hundreds of battles and almost died a few times before I managed to cultivate to the early stage of the mystic immortal realm. How did you reach the middle stage of the mystic immortal realm? Yi Qinghan looked at Yi Mingxi in shock and disbelief. Yi Mingxi herself didn't know what was going on. Her cultivation realm had skyrocketed, but her combat strength didn't change. She also didn't have a suitable cultivation technique or divine ability for her to cultivate. Therefore, her combat strength was really trash. Seeing Yi Qinghan, Yi Mingxi finally smiled. She stood up and said softly, "Greetings, big brother." "Greetings, Senior Nine Nether." Nine Nether looked at Yi Mingxi and shook his head. "Girl, if you don't change your mindset, be careful that you don't live as long as the heavens and fuse with all things. You don't have any emotions and become a emotionless Tao." Yi Mingxi and Yi Qinghan were both stunned. They were awakened by Nine Nether's words. Yi Mingxi's emotional fluctuations over the years were almost zero. That was why her cultivation was so exaggerated. If she was close to the Tao, her cultivation realm might be exaggerated. However, without emotions or desires, her combat strength would be zero. Moreover, she wouldn't even acknowledge Yi Qinghan as her big brother. Yi Qinghan grabbed Yi Mingxi and said in a deep voice, "Leave the imperial tomb with big brother. I'll allow you to come back once every 1,000 years to pay your respects." After saying that, he didn't wait for Yi Mingxi to resist. He waved his hand and brought everyone back to the undying immortal world. Chapter 2541. Perhaps Yi Mingxi was used to loneliness and being emotionless, so she didn't want to leave. However, Yi Qinghan wouldn't allow her to become an emotionless woman. After entering the northern divine island, Yi Qinghan directly threw Yi Mingxi to Shirgu. "I don't care what method you use. Make her feel emotional, even if it makes her angry." Yi Qinghan threw the problem to Shirgu. Shirgu wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Looking at Yi Mingxi's emotionless appearance, a sense of helplessness surged from the bottom of her heart. Yi Mingxi pouted. She had indeed felt that she hadn't felt emotional for a long time. Even when she saw Yi Qinghan, she only felt a little emotional. This feeling made her feel helpless, but she couldn't change it. Mingxi, try to blend in with the crowd. Accompany Master to see the sisters-in-law and the people from Kuang's sect. Adjust your state of mind. I don't like your emotionless cultivation method. Even if you become a good-for-nothing, I don't need you to be emotionless. If Mother's spirit is in heaven, she wouldn't like it either. Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. Yi Mingxi tried hard to control her state of mind and nodded. "And don't worry, big brother. I will control myself." Nine Nether patted Yi Mingxi's head and sighed. "Even an old man like me isn't emotionless. Why bother?" Yi Mingxi had also visited Nine Nether before, so she was quite familiar with him. Looking at Nine Nether's serious expression, she actually felt a sense of guilt. She understood that she had made everyone worried. "Senior, don't worry. Mingxi can control herself." Yi Mingxi nodded seriously, as if she wanted to change her state of mind. After hearing this, Nine Nether looked at Yi Qinghan and said, "You go do your things. This old man wants to see if these children and grandchildren have improved." After saying that, Shirgu and Yi Mingxi quickly supported Nine Nether to the place where the older generation was stationed. Other than Gu Qingyu and a few others who were out on a mission, the rest of the older generation were all here. There were more than 10 people who recognized Nine Nether and came out to greet him. A group of heavenly immortal realm experts kneeling before a saint realm expert was a rare sight. Nine Nether's face was full of smiles. Now, he was the oldest elder in the 9 continents. If Yen Yunbei didn't count the years when he was sealed, even he couldn't compare to 9 Nether. Get up quickly. Ha, there are actually a few people that this old man knows. 9 Nether's smile bloomed like a flower. After being alone for so many years, she finally saw a few familiar faces. These young people hadn't changed at all. Grandpa 9 Nether, you are really old but vigorous. Yun'er teased. This was Emperor Ye's first time meeting an elder after so many years. Finally, he didn't have to pretend to be a profound adult anymore. His motherly aura had dissipated. Master, your son pays his respects to you. Emperor Yi knelt before 9 Nether and kowtowed respectfully. Chenxue greets senior. Jian Chenxue and Emperor Yi were naturally familiar with 9 underworlds. After all, they were from All-Fall Star. Looking at the familiar faces, Jiu Yu couldn't control her emotions. She was glad that Yi Qinghan had returned in advance. Otherwise, he would definitely be unwilling to be buried alone. Just as the crazy Sex Qi family was reunited, Yi Qinghan stayed under the immortal peach tree and watched the green lotus fluttering in the wind. Flowers bloomed everywhere, and the fragrance was overwhelming. Whoosh! Streaks of divine aura spread out in all directions. The green lotus was breaking through the last bottleneck and preparing for the final transformation. As the time for the transformation approached, the immortal peach tree exploded with a monstrous vitality. It absorbed an endless amount of immortal spiritual qi and provided it to the green lotus sword deity. Yi Qinghan exhaled a few mouthfuls of turbid air. He stood under the tree and watched quietly. Time passed slowly. After about 4 months, a green light soared into the sky like a sword aura. Whoosh! The immortal spiritual qi swept across. The sea breeze was violent. The immortal spiritual qi in the surroundings was chaotic, and all gathered on the lotus of the green lotus. Yi Qinghan slowly took out the green lotus sword deity's natal flute and played the sound of nature. It affected the green lotus sword deity's emotions, and the impact became stronger and stronger. Whoosh! After a long howl, the green lotus rose from the ground and transformed into a human. Her body became clearer and clearer. Her green battle robe fluttered as the sharp sword aura swept across the sky. After hundreds of thousands of years, the green lotus sword deity was no longer the green lotus sword deity of the past. All these years, she cultivated the sword Tao diligently and absorbed the essence of the sun and the moon. The immortal peach tree also provided her natal immortal core power, which improved her cultivation by countless times. As soon as she transformed, the aura of a mystic immortal appeared. The sword aura affected the sword Tao. Countless sword shadows tore through the stable space of the immortal world. The waves were quickly retreating, as if they were frightened by the green lotus. A large number of eccentric sect masters rushed out and looked at the figure under the immortal peach tree. Whoosh! Crack, 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 crack. Suddenly, dark clouds covered the sky. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. The thunder tribulation appeared. The green lotus sword deity's transformation skipped several stages and directly entered the mystic immortal realm. It was inevitable that she would be tested by the thunder tribulation. Whoosh! The green lotus sword deity closed her eyes and absorbed the spiritual qi of heaven and earth. She was unaffected by the danger outside. Immortal light shot out from all around her. After a long time, the green lotus sword deity's body finally solidified. Her flesh and blood appeared. The surface of her body was crystal clear. Her entire body was green, and her green dress fluttered in the wind. "I'm back!" the green lotus sword deity whispered. Her voice was like the sound of nature. "Welcome back!" Yi Qinghan whispered with a smile on his face. Whoosh! A bolt of lightning struck. Dark clouds rolled in the sky. The entire northern divine island fell into darkness. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and took off the marquee robe. He threw it to the green lotus sword deity. Then he also threw the ancient abyss sword to her. Go through the tribulation first. With these two treasures it will be very easy, Yi Qinghan said excitedly. At this time, Fan Yin's heart was filled with sorrow. Back then, when they were both in the Supreme Saint realm, Green Lotus was willing to give up her body for him. But she was forced by Sikong Tanlang for the sake of the common people. Now, her treatment was very different. The Green Lotus sword deity didn't hesitate. She put on the marquee robe, held the ancient abyss sword, and jumped into the tribulation cloud. The marquee robe's defense was exaggerated. The mystic immortal tribulation lightning couldn't shake it. Countless lightning bolts blasted into the Milky Way diagram of the marquee robe and were swallowed by the endless power of the universe. The marquee robe emitted endless starlight like a huge star. Whoosh! The ancient abyss sword didn't disgrace the green lotus sword deity at all. It was 30% stronger than Yi Qinghan's power. After a while, the tribulation cloud dispersed. The green lotus sword deity landed on the ground. She looked at the people of the Kuang sect and smiled. Greetings, fellow cultivators. Green Lotus sword deity held her sword and bowed to everyone. Sister Green Lotus, there's no need to be so polite with us. Please take a seat. Now that the Kuang sect is gathered, it's a joyous day. Let's celebrate. Jian Chenxue immediately came up and held the Green Lotus sword deity's hand. Even the woman was impressed by the Green Lotus sword deity. Whoosh! The Green Lotus sword deity took off the marquee robe and ancient abyss sword and returned them to Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan only took the marquee robe and said with a smile, I'll give you the ancient abyss sword. Only you can unleash its power. Chapter 2542. The Kuang sect was joyous and harmonious. Many people came out of seclusion to greet Nine Nether so that she would not feel lonely. Desolate Lord Yi, Qin Wentian, Lin Shukong, and the rest of the younger generation were all prepared to accompany Nine Nether for a long time, replacing Yi Qinghan in mourning. Yi Qinghan also accompanied Nine Nether around the northern Divine Island for a long time. He also dragged Shi Guo and Yi Mingxi along, not giving Yi Mingxi a chance to be alone. For more than a year, he did not have time to go into seclusion. During this time, the most miserable person was Shi Guo. He cried all day long. Facing Yi Mingxi, he also became a widow. He became a resentful man and was mocked by the younger generation. Until now, there were very few people in the older generation who were alone. He was the only one who had a wife and no children. Yi Qinghan was exasperated. He could not even control his own woman. He really regretted marrying Yi Mingxi to him. However, what was done could not be undone. There was nothing he could do. In the second year, Nine Nether also knew that she could not delay Yi Qinghan any longer. She took the initiative to say, Yi, you are the leader. You can't spend too much time with me. Nine Nether, Mengxi, Shi Guo, and the group of children will accompany me. You can go into seclusion and do what you need to do. Don't worry about me. When I am free, I will get everyone to inform you. I am not far away. Yi Qinghan smiled and said, Actually, it is quite good to be able to accompany you. My state of mind settles very quickly and I understand a lot. You don't have to take it to heart. Nine Nether actually understood that Yi Qinghan wanted to go into seclusion, so she did not point it out. She said solemnly, You are the leader of the Kuang sect. You have to be responsible for the sect. Quickly go and help you. Yi Qinghan could only nod. He looked at Shi Guo, Yi Mingxi, and the others and said, Accompany Master well, especially you, Shi Guo. Don't cry all day long like a resentful woman. If I were Mengxi, I would definitely punish you to kneel in front of the ocean and repent. At that moment, Shi Guo really wanted to smash his own head with a brick. He looked at Yi Qinghan pitifully and begged, Boss, lend me Supreme Sovereign Yi. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and pulled Sovereign Yi out. Then, they left the mountain range. Supremacy Yi looked around in confusion. He had been painstakingly cultivating the Starry River heaven-defying divine ability during this period of time. He didn't even know that Nine Nether and Yi Mingxi had been brought over. Yi Mingxi and Nine Nether didn't recognize that Supremacy Yi was the B***TCH bird. Supreme Yi looked at the two of them and exclaimed, F***CK, the two of you are still alive. Yi Mingxi looked at Sovereign Yi in confusion and asked, Who are you? I'm a divine bird. Great divine bird. Supreme Yi made an exaggerated expression and said excitedly, That damned bird. Yi Mingxi and Nine Nether said at the same time. Supreme Sovereign Yi's face immediately fell, and he said with a displeased look, I'm now called Supreme Sovereign Yi. You'd better respect me, okay? Kakik, ha 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 ha. Yi Mingxi's long-lost laughter actually became unbridled. She looked at Supreme Sovereign Yi's fierce little face and directly reached out to pinch it, twisting Supreme Sovereign Yi's fat little face into a ball. When she laughed, the few people around her laughed crazily. Shurgu was even more surprised. He couldn't wait to teach Supreme Sovereign Yi a lesson and make Yi Mingxi's emotions fluctuate even more. Divine bird, as expected of a living treasure. By the sea, 30 miles northeast of the boundary stone, there were two spiral-shaped cliffs that reached into the clouds. The top of the cliffs had already entered the void. The blue sky and white clouds, the dripping of water, countless immortal herbs surrounded the spiral-shaped cliff. There was almost no support to speak of. Yi Qinghan had already opened up a spiral path here, spiraling all the way up. He also used his free time to build a courtyard house and a stargazing tower on the top of the mountain. This place became a natural stargazing tower, the best place to comprehend the operation of the Starry River universe. Yi Qinghan climbed up the stargazing tower. The sky was already very cold. His marquee robe was fluttering in the wind. No one below the Xian immortal realm would dare to climb up this mountain. Standing on the tower, one could see the entire island. However, one could only roughly see it. After all, it was too high up. Looking down on the ground was like looking at ants. Looking up at the starry sky, one could even see some faint starlight during the day. If it was nighttime, this stargazing tower would definitely allow him to comprehend the Starry River inverse space diagram earlier. After being busy for more than a year, Yi Qinghan was preparing to go into closed-door cultivation. Suddenly, Green Lotus Sword Immortal climbed up from below. Yi Qinghan asked curiously, Green Lotus, why are you not in closed-door cultivation? Why are you here? Green Lotus Sword Immortal shrugged and said helplessly, No one dares to climb up and no one can climb up the stargazing tower. So, I can only come and find you. A north-vanquishing king came from the heaven-suppressing prefecture. He is a prince and he wishes to see you. After all, he is a prince. It would be bad if I didn't inform you. So, I came to ask for your opinion. North-vanquishing king? Yi Qinghan rubbed his nose. He seemed to have some recollection of the name. His fief was already very close to the north. This north-vanquishing king had been guarding the northeastern border, right next to the heaven-suppressing prefecture. When he was conferred the title of Marquis, this north-vanquishing prefecture even went to congratulate him and gave him plenty of resources. Did he say anything? Yi Qinghan asked. Green Lotus Sword Immortal shook his head and replied, He is quite mysterious. He disguised himself and entered the heaven-suppressing prefecture to find Lu Outyen. Now Lu Outyen has brought him to the inner sex encampment. He is waiting for you to meet him. Yi Qinghan nodded and said, Very well. Green Lotus you can cultivate here. This place is suitable for closed-door cultivation and no one will disturb you. I have Xian immortal level resources in the courtyard, enough for you to use. There is also a high-level ancient sword art that you can use as a reference. I will go see what the North Vanquishing King wants from me. With that, Yi Qinghan quickly left the stargazing tower. When he was halfway up the mountain, he rode on the clouds and headed towards the inner sect's encampment. In the inner sect's encampment, beside Lu Aotian, a cloaked young man was fidgeting. He looked to be in his 30s, and he was the North Vanquishing King. He also had another identity, which was the eldest prince. He was much older than the second and third princes, and was also a Peak Xian immortal expert. He was one of the few princes who were conferred the title of king outside of the clan. Being conferred the title of king outside of the clan meant that there was no chance of him inheriting the position of crown prince. Yi Qinghan didn't understand why the North Vanquishing King needed him, since he was already conferred the title of king. However, the North Vanquishing Prefecture's encampment was right next to the Heaven-Suppressing Prefecture, and he couldn't afford to offend him. Xiao, Hua! Yi Qinghan dived into the inner sect encampment and came beside Lu Aotian. He whispered, "Aotian, return to the Heaven-Suppressing Prefecture city first. Leave this place to me." Lu Aotian immediately turned and left without saying a word. When the North Vanquishing King saw Yi Qinghan, he immediately stood up and said, "Greetings, Lord Marquis." Yi Qinghan didn't dare to use his identity as the North Vanquishing King was the eldest prince. He immediately gestured with his hand and said, "Brother, please have a seat. Why are you looking for me so urgently?" There was no one else in the palace. The North Vanquishing King looked around and said softly, "According to what I know, the competition between the 5 immortal monarchs has been brought forward. Therefore, the Crown Prince's position is imminent. I would like to ask for Lord Marquis's help." Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows. He looked at the North Vanquishing King's resolute gaze and asked in surprise, "Brother, you are already a king outside of the clan. I'm afraid you don't have the qualifications to compete for the Crown Prince's position." You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.